Chapter 500. The top 10 on the transforming saint list probably won't make a move this time. Shangguan Yunqi laughed. They can't afford to lose face. In my opinion, this time they should be afraid that you won't dare to fight. So they spread the news. Lin Yi nodded slightly. That's good. It's equivalent to free publicity for us. Yes, if we can defeat them in front of everyone, then our heavenly rapier sex prestige will spread far and wide. Shangguan Yunqi and the others nodded. Mu Yi suddenly said, starting from this afternoon, there's already a banker and the bets have been opened. Big Brother Lin, your odds are very high. If you can win, then we can win a lot of points just by betting. Oh, there's still betting? Lin Ye's eyes lit up, and he grinned. Quickly, you guys gather the points and put them on 3 or 4 people. Then bet on me. As for the rest of the points, wait until tomorrow when I appear, then bet on me. This way, it won't attract attention. Shun Lingxiao exclaimed, and awkwardly scratched his head. But Brother Yin and I already sent people to place our bets. Hearing this, the corner of Lin Ye's mouth couldn't help but twitch. It could be seen that Shun Lingxiao and the others trusted him very much. But with so many people betting on Lin Yi all of a sudden, the person who opened the bet would definitely be suspicious. At that time, when the odds were lowered, they would be able to earn less. First, stop, Lin Yi said in a deep voice. Do as I say. If we do that, wouldn't it be too ruthless? Shangguan Yunqi and the others frowned. That senior who opened the betting has no conflict with us. No conflict, but they want to rely on us to make a profit. So why don't we rip them off? The corners of Lin Ye's mouth curled up. Today, we're going to let them understand that we, the freshmen, are not pushovers. If they want to wantonly bully us, then they will have to pay the price. Okay, I will immediately pass down the order. Shun Lingxiao nodded slightly, then turned and left. Today, no one will ask us for protection fees anymore, right? Lin Yi looked at Shangguan Yunqi and the others. None. Our Heavenly Sword sect has over 5,000 members now. Those seniors don't dare to provoke us. As for the members of those large powers, without the permission of the experts on the Saint Transformation rankings, they wouldn't dare to act rashly. Shangguan Yunqi grinned. If you defeat Zhu Mingyong tomorrow, our position will be even more stable. Then why did you come here to find me? Lin Yi looked up at Shangguan Yunqi. Cough, cough. Shangguan Yunqi and the others were embarrassed. We were worried that you would be nervous, so we came to check on you. Don't worry about me. Just take care of the Heavenly Sword sect. As for everything else, leave it to me. Lin Yi said helplessly. Before tomorrow, collect the points of the remaining people. Tomorrow, the 2 of you will help me suppress the situation. All right, Shangguan Yunqi and the others responded. After Shangguan Yunqi and the others left, Lin Yi was too lazy to cultivate and simply relaxed. Qing Yu did not leave. After carefully sizing up Lin Yi for a moment, she suddenly sat in front of Lin Yi. It's only been a day. Your divine sense seems to have become stronger. Qing Yu's expression was solemn as she stared at Lin Yi. Maybe you sensed wrongly, Lin Yi said with a smile. I just finished cultivating. Maybe the fluctuations are a bit big. Qing Yu was silent. With her intelligence, she naturally knew that Lin Yi was not telling the truth. Prepare well. Everyone is waiting for you. After a long time, Qing Yu got up and left the courtyard. Looking at Qing Yu's departing back view, a familiar feeling surfaced in Lin Ye's heart. He couldn't help but gasp. What is it about Qing Yu that gives me such a familiar feeling? Touching his nose, Lin Yi got up and went straight out of the courtyard. In the ninefold space, Lin Yi had cultivated for more than half a year and had been in a repressed state. Naturally, he needed to relax. Lin Yi wandered aimlessly around the academy. From time to time, students would pass by. Their discussions surprised Lin Yi. Almost everyone was talking about the news of him fighting one-on-one with Du Yuetian and Zhu Mingyong. Most people did not know Lin Yi, but under the publicity of others, almost everyone was familiar with the name Lin Yi. The entire Cebu Gakuen was in a complete uproar. How many years had it been? No new student had ever won the hunting battle, and on the second day of school, he even gambled with a strong person on the Saint Transforming list. To them, this was simply a miracle. The academy that had been silent for several years with the injection of new blood like Lin Yi and the others, was like a dead pool of water boiling, causing great waves. The next day, when Lin Yi was woken up by Sun Wuyu and Silent Soul, he sensed the vast Saint aura outside the door. Pushing the door open, Shangguan Yunqi, Mui, Dao Feiyang, and the others led thousands of disciples and lined up neatly. Their faces were solemn, and the surging saint aura emanated from their bodies. After experiencing the heart-refining abyss and the spirit-gathering array, everyone had broken through to the beginner stage of the saint realm. Of course, the beginner stage of the saint realm was still at the bottom of Cebu Gakuen. However, with more than 5,000 beginner stage saints, it was enough to make the ordinary forces restrain themselves. Greetings, sect leader. With Shangguan Yunqi's light shout, more than 5,000 disciples shouted in unison. Their voices were like thunder, echoing in the entire space. For a moment, the students passing by in the distance all turned their gazes over, their eyes full of surprise. Lin Yi was overwhelmed with emotions. He took a deep breath and waved his hand forward. "Brothers, let's go." As his voice fell, Lin Yi and the others rushed toward the blood refinement field like a dragon, emitting a biting cold aura. Not long after, Qing Yu arrived and walked to the side of Shangguan Yunqi and the others. Her expression was still indifferent. Shangguan Yunqi and the others originally wanted to remind her not to forget the time, but when they saw her expression, they did not say anything. Dao Feiyang walked to Lin Ye's side and whispered the specific rules of the blood refinement field. In the past 2 days, after experiencing the heart-refining abyss, Dao Feiyang had plunged into the blood refinement field and madly participated in the gambling fights. Dao Feiyang could be said to have a thorough understanding of the rules of the blood refinement field. There were many rules in the blood refinement field. Not only were there restrictions on arrays and runes, but there were also restrictions on saint weapons. In the process of fighting, one could not attack the vital points of others. One could only attack the non-vital points. Big Brother Lin, you have to be careful. Although the rules say that you are not allowed to attack the vital points, you can't relax your mind. Those seniors will use this rule to attack your vital points when you are relaxed. As long as you are nervous and defend yourself, they will attack the other parts of your body. Those seniors will never tire of using this move. You have to be careful. Dao Feiyang told Lin Yi what he had learned over the past 2 days. Chapter 501. The blood refinement field was the most popular and lively place in the outer court of Cebu Gakuen. Today, the entire blood refinement field was boiling with excitement. Thousands of students had arrived and entered the blood refinement field at the crack of dawn. The blood refinement field was circular in shape with a staircase leading downwards. The innermost part was a circle with countless arenas for the students to compete in. Around it were platforms for the other students to watch. When Cebu Gakuen taught the students, other than the necessary lectures, it allowed the students to study freely. Battles were the fastest and most effective way to improve one's strength. Therefore, almost every student would come to the blood refinement field to train themselves. Cebu Gakuen was happy to see such a situation and built the blood refinement field to be quite spectacular. Even if tens of thousands of people gathered, the blood refinement field could accommodate them all. Countless students gathered and stood on the high platform. They were excited as they discussed loudly. Looking down, the numerous arenas that were originally suspended in the air had all disappeared, leaving only one huge arena. On both sides of the arena were 2 platforms. At this moment, one of the platforms was full of people. It was Zhu Mingyong and the others. Zhu Mingyong's face was solemn as he sat cross-legged in meditation, preparing for the upcoming battle. Behind him, Wang Jiaxing and the others were arrogant as they looked around. Why aren't the new students here yet? They're just a bunch of new students. How dare they act so arrogantly and make us wait for them? They're too arrogant. Wang Jiaxing and the others' faces were gloomy. They couldn't wait to see Lin Yi get beaten up. Although Lin Yi had defeated UNMO and Taiyu, he had relied on a formation. Moreover, the 2 brothers were injured before they fought with Lin Yi. Therefore, The seniors in the outer court didn't recognize Lin Ye's strength. In the blood refinement field, one couldn't use formations, runes, or even saint weapons with strong offensive power. The seniors didn't believe that Lin Yi could defeat Zhu Mingyong and the others. As time passed, more and more students arrived at the blood refinement field. Everyone was eagerly waiting for the arrival of Lin Yi and the other freshmen. They were very curious. What kind of person could lead the new students to defeat the older students and even cause such a huge commotion right after joining the academy? They're here. They're here. So many people. Are the freshmen this year so powerful? Suddenly, the sound of people sucking in cold air was heard. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice, and in the next moment, they all opened their mouths wide and froze on the spot. Thousands of people lined up neatly as they marched toward the blood refinement field. Powerful saint aura gushed out of their bodies and gathered together, giving people a strong sense of oppression. Shockingly, the person in the lead was Lin Yi. He walked with a majestic gait, and his expression was indifferent, as if he didn't take Zhu Mingyong and the others seriously at all. Shangguan Yunqi, Qin Yue, Sun Wuyu, and the others were like stars surrounding the moon, protecting Lin Yi. Instantly, all the senior students were stunned, and they couldn't help but gulp down mouthfuls of saliva. It was hard for them to imagine that a group of freshmen could gather such a force. In the past, there were only a few hundred freshmen. Whether it was in terms of numbers or strength, it was difficult for them to compete with them. However, this time, the academy had recruited a total of 10,000 people. Although they were relatively weak and couldn't be compared to them, with so many people gathered together, the force that erupted was still shocking. Dao Feiyang led the way and brought Lin Yi into the blood refinement field, walking toward the arena. At the same time, all the senior students opened a path for Lin Yi. Their eyes were filled with admiration as they looked at Lin Yi. Of course, there were some who were disdainful or doubtful, but they didn't dare to show it. Shangguan Yunqi and Muyi led the crowd to the circular platform, while Silent Soul, Sun Wuyu, Qin Yue, and the others rushed to the other side of the arena under Dao Feiyang's lead. Along the way, everyone silently made way for them. Even Wang Jiaxing and the others who had previously mocked Lin Yi shut their mouths and stared at Lin Yi. Suddenly, when they passed by a small table, Lin Yi let out a soft cry of surprise and turned his gaze over. On the small platform, there were the names of Lin Yi, Zhu Mingyong, and Du Yuetian. Below their names, there was a number. Is this the betting area? Raising his eyebrows, Lin Yi waved his hand, indicating for Dao, Feiyang, and the others to stop. Then, he focused his attention on the few senior students beside the platform. In an instant, everyone in the blood refinement field turned their gazes to the few senior students. Cough, cough. Feeling Lin Ye's gaze, the few senior students felt a great pressure, as if a mountain was pressing down on them. They couldn't help coughing a few times and hurriedly tried to put away the things on the platform. No need. Lin Yi suddenly laughed and said, I just want to ask, do you dare to accept my bet? Hearing this, the corners of the senior students' mouths suddenly twitched. They looked around but didn't dare to accept Lin Ye's bet. What if Lin Yi lost and held a grudge against them? But if they didn't accept Lin Ye's bet, wouldn't they be looking down on him? If Lin Yi went crazy again, they wouldn't be able to bear it. They were just members of some small factions and didn't dare to go against Lin Yi. Don't worry, if I lose, I won't go back on my words, nor will I secretly scheme against you. There are so many people here to be our witnesses. You don't have to worry. Lin Yi smiled. Hearing this, the few senior students couldn't help but feel much more at ease. Indeed, with so many people watching, if Lin Yi dared to go back on his words or plot against them, then Lin Ye's reputation would be ruined. We accept. After hesitating for a moment, the few senior students gritted their teeth and shouted. That's good. Lin Yi immediately smiled and said, I bet 200,000 points. I bet that I'll win. 200,000 points? Hiss. Is this guy crazy? Oh my God. 200,000 points, it's enough to cultivate for a long time. As soon as he finished speaking, there was an uproar in the blood training ground. All the senior students looked at Lin Yi in shock. This guy is definitely crazy. Not only can you kill spirit beasts in the hunting war, but you can also steal other people's points. Of course, the speed of gaining points is fast, but it's almost impossible to gain points so quickly in the academy. If he loses, he might not be able to survive in the outer yard. Everyone was shocked. They looked at Lin Yi with eyes full of disbelief. How? How much? The few senior students were also stunned and murmured, 200,000 points on me. Lin Yi winning. Lin Yi's voice was indifferent, but his aura was like an erupting volcano that soared to the sky. Looks like you're full of confidence in yourself. Suddenly, an indifferent voice sounded. Zhu Mingyong, who had been meditating, stood up with a cold light in his eyes. Chapter 502. Ha ha. If I'm not confident, am I supposed to believe that you can beat me? With a smirk, Lin Yi said indifferently, What's wrong? You didn't say that I'm not allowed to bet on myself. Or is there a point limit? No. Taking a few steps back, the seniors wanted to cry, but had no tears. If they had known, they would not have been so arrogant and come here to set up a bet. Now that Lin Yi saw it, he wanted to participate in it personally. Although everyone knew about the bet, the people involved wouldn't say anything, let alone participate in it. The people who were involved wouldn't say anything. However, Lin Yi's strong participation this time immediately gave him a headache. I'll take it. With a sigh, the seniors did not dare to disobey Lin Yi. They could only agree and quickly recorded down Lin Yi's 200,000 points. One of the seniors quickly changed the number under Lin Yi's name from 100 to 5. Noticing this, Zhu Mingyong, who was not far away, snorted. Since you're so confident, I'll add a bet too. 200,000 points on me winning. As soon as he finished speaking, the seniors were completely dumbfounded and their legs turned to jelly. Before Lin Yi, Zhu Mingyong, and the others joined, the total points in the bet were only 300,000. They did not expect that in a short time, the points in the bet would increase to 700,000. However, this was just the beginning. Senior brother Zhu, this kid is too arrogant. I'm willing to bet 100,000 points to support you. That's right. Teach this freshman a lesson. I'm also willing to bet 100,000 points. 80,000 points on senior brother Zhu winning. We, the members of the Cloud Mountain Summit, will always support senior brother. As the voices continued to ring out, the seniors' faces turned paler. They really wanted to refuse. However, it just so happened that those people who had come to support them all possessed extraordinary strength. They were simply unable to refuse. Are you bullying us freshmen? I, Shangwan Yunqi, am willing to bet 200,000 points on Brother Lin winning. Muyi, 150,000 points on Brother Lin winning. Shangwan Yunqi and the other elders shouted. In a split second, the older students' legs went soft and they fell to their knees. Wang Jiaxing and the others glared fiercely at Shangwan Yunqi and the others. Their eyes were filled with the smell of gunpowder. Big brothers, please let us go. We're just playing around. We can't accept such a big bet. Several senior students wanted to cry, but had no tears. They almost kowtowed to Lin Yi's group. No matter who won or lost, in the end, they might not be able to afford it. Seeing this, the surrounding crowd could not help but bitterly smile. In their hearts, they became even more curious about this new batch of students. Lin Yi being able to take out 200,000 points had already shocked them, but they knew Lin Yi's identity. In any case, he was the boss of so many new students, so it would be easy for him to collect so many points. However, after Shangwan Yunqi and the others took out that many points, they were no longer able to remain calm. It seemed like those freshmen were even richer than them. You don't have to worry. Lin Yi chuckled. If I win, you can lower the odds. This okay? Hearing this, several senior students looked at each other and had to accept it. At this time, in their hearts, they hoped that Lin Yi would win. Otherwise, they would also go bankrupt. After recording their points, Lin Yi walked slowly to the arena. After looking carefully for a moment, he did not see Du Yuetian. He could not help but frown. Strange, Why is Du Yuetian not here? Or are you saying that you're already afraid? Lin Yi rolled his eyes. His gentle voice suddenly echoed in the entire blood refinery ground. Although his voice was not loud, it was as loud as a bell, constantly rippling. Lin Yi, today is the day of your duel with Zhu Mingyong. It involves all the new students. A voice quietly came from the ring stage. The grudge between us can be postponed. I don't want you to use me as an excuse after you lose to Brother Zhu. Lin Yi looked up and saw Du Yuetian's figure. He could not help but chuckle. Interesting, it's okay, come up. It won't take me much effort to deal with you. I hope that when the time comes, your skills will be as sharp as your mouth. Hearing this, Du Yuetian flew into a rage. He could not wait to turn Lin Yi into ashes. At this time, you still dare to provoke others. Zhu Mingyong narrowed his eyes and looked carefully at Lin Yi. His heart became heavier and heavier. In the indifferent laughter, Lin Yi, Dao, Fei Yong, and the others walked up to the ring and looked at Zhu Mingyong. The duel is about to begin. In addition to the previous bet, do you want to add something to the wager? Lin Yi suddenly said. Wager? Zhu Mingyong and Du Yuetian furrowed their brows and glanced at Lin Yi in confusion. That's right. Lin Yi smiled. I have a set of Holy Class Fist skill. If you win, I will give it to you. Holy Class Fist skill? Hearing this, the crowd was shocked. Even if they could not use the Holy Class Fist skill, they could exchange it for a lot of points. For them, it was very tempting. Hiss, who is this guy? Is he so rich? How can he bet a Holy Class Fist skill? The crowd murmured and started to guess Lin Yi's background. In the crowd, Shun Ling Xiao, Zhang Tianheng, and the others who knew Lin Yi's background could not help but smile bitterly. No one would have thought that Lin Yi, the god's favored one, was from the inferior area, especially the Zhang family. They were quite dissatisfied at first and wanted to get back at Lin Yi. However, after coming to Cebu Gakuen, they realized that Lin Yi's strength was far beyond their reach. Okay. After hesitating for a while, Zhu Mingyong shouted, Then let's add a wager. If you win, I will give you a set of Holy Class Finger Skill. I have a set of inferior Holy Class Sword Skill. When cultivated to the profound realm, it is comparable to a peerless Holy Class Sword Skill. Du Yuetian said, gritting his teeth. Since Lin Yi and Zhu Mingyong had both put up wagers, Du Yuetian had to do the same. Otherwise, he would be too ashamed to show his face. Very good. The corners of Lin Yi's mouth curled up as he stepped onto the stage. His expression was calm as he walked step by step to the center of the stage. Lin Yi raised his head and pointed at Du Yuetian and Zhu Mingyong. He said indifferently, Which one of you will go first? Du Yuetian, if you are afraid, I can postpone the battle with you. Hearing this, everyone in the blood arena, regardless of whether they were freshmen or seniors, turned to look at Du Yuetian. Joke? Why would I be afraid? Du Yuetian's mouth twitched. He gritted his teeth and said, You'd better not lose too quickly. Chapter 503. You don't have to worry about that. Lin Yi curled his lips. Du Yuetian, don't talk nonsense. Let's finish the fight quickly. If you don't dare, you can fight me together with Zhu Mingyong. With that, Lin Yi glanced at Zhu Mingyong. Bastard! Bah! In an instant, Du Yuetian and Zhu Mingyong were furious. Du Yuetian, in particular, was trembling and his eyes were full of anger. After all, he was one of the top 100 experts on the transforming sage board. Now that he was looked down upon by Lin Yi, a freshman, he would be a laughingstock if he did not say anything. Lin Yi, wait for your death. Gritting his teeth, Du Yuetian leaped into the air and landed in front of Lin Yi like a beautiful parabola. After sizing up Du Yuetian, Lin Yi sensed that Du Yuetian was still at the late stage of the Saint Realm. He was relieved. Without the help of the formation and the supreme sacred weapon, Lin Yi would have a hard time dealing with a saint at the peak. As long as Du Yuetian had not made a breakthrough, he would be fine. Lin Yi and Du Yuetian stared at each other. In a split second, a biting cold aura suddenly filled the entire arena. For a moment, everyone in the blood refining ground quieted down. They stared at the two of them, afraid that they would miss the exciting scene. Zhu Mingyong squinted his eyes and stared at Lin Yi. Since Du Yuetian had tested Lin Yi's strength for him in advance, he would not refuse. Crackle, crackle. A crisp sound suddenly rang out. Lin Yi and Du Yuetian's auras were rolling in their bodies. The strong saint aura appeared behind them like a huge wave. Buzz! Suddenly, a figure appeared in front of everyone, as if he had broken through the void. It was a young man in a white robe with a smile on his face. As soon as he appeared, the temperature in the blood-refining ground dropped a little. Feeling that something was wrong, everyone raised their heads. Lin Yi and Du Yuetian both looked up and couldn't help but be stunned. That young man was Flawless White, the elder of the sacred depository pavilion. Elder Bai. Isn't Elder Bai in seclusion all year round? Why is he here today? Hiss. This freshman is really something. It's only his second day here, and he's already alerted Elder Bai. That's terrifying. After the older students recognized Bai Wuxia, they began to whisper among themselves. Their faces were filled with shock. Bai Wuxia's status was extremely high, and it was impossible to see him normally. Even if it was a battle between the top 10 students on the Saint Transformation rankings, it would be very difficult to disturb him. Who would have thought that Bai Wuxia would actually take the initiative to come to this battle today? Greetings, Elder Bai. After recovering from their shock, the senior students bowed respectfully. Even Du Yuetian, Zhu Mingyong, and the others bowed to him respectfully. Although the freshmen did not know Flawless White's identity, they came to their senses and bowed. There's no need for that. Flawless White smiled and raised his hand slightly. In an instant, a breeze blew. The students who were bowing felt their bodies lighten and stood up straight. Feeling this, the freshmen were stunned. They looked at Flawless White in a daze. I just came out of seclusion and heard the news of the fight. Flawless White smiled and said, You won't blame me for coming uninvited, right? Everyone's mouth twitched. You're an elder. Who dares to blame you? Although it's a fight, I hope you won't be too cruel. After all, we're all disciples of the same sect. Flawless White said slowly. After the fight, you'll find your shortcomings and improve your strength. That's the most important thing. Well, let's cut to the chase. The fight begins. After saying that, Flawless White stepped back a little and sat in the air. He looked at Lin Yi and Du Yuetian with interest. Lin Yi and Du Yuetian looked at each other and shook their heads to get rid of the other thoughts in their minds. Then, they jumped up high and crashed into each other like cannonballs. Boom! As the two of them collided, a surging shock wave spread out in all directions. The strong force made Lin Yi and Du Yuetian tremble and step back a few steps. After testing each other's strength, the two of them did not hold back anymore. They shook their shoulders and rushed forward again. Frozen cloud palm. Dense cold air spread out. Du Yuetian waved his hands. Ice blue spiritual chi was released, mixed with bone-chilling cold air. It turned into a huge palm and slapped down on Lin Yi. Sky-destroying finger. Heavenly Emperor fist. Lin Yi clenched his right hand into a fist and stretched out his left index finger. Two great sage-ranked martial skills were released at the same time. The shadow of a golden index finger appeared, and a vast fist wind rippled out. It was as if a god had descended to the mortal world. It collided with the icy blue palm. Bang! The golden index finger pierced through the icy blue palm, and a crisp sound rang out. In the next moment, the golden index finger dissipated, and the icy blue palm became much more illusory. Before the icy blue palm could land, it burst forth with power, and a vast fist wind, like that of a god, had already bombarded the palm. Kacha! Kacha! At this time, the icy blue palm could not hold on any longer and shattered into pieces. Hiss! This guy is indeed worthy of being the #1 disciple of the new batch. He's actually able to fight Du Yuetian with a 9th Tribulation half-true saint. Senior Brother Du is an expert ranked in the top 100 of the saint transforming list. The spectators did not believe in Lin Yi's strength, but after seeing this scene, all of them gasped in admiration. Oomph! Take another one of my palms. Du Yuetian snorted coldly and waved his hands. 2 more palm imprints appeared and rushed towards Lin Yi. Sky-destroying finger. Lin Yi was not afraid. He flicked all 10 of his fingers, and golden finger imprints appeared and flew out. Bang! 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 Very soon, the finger imprints collided with the palm imprints, and the sharp finger wind tore the palm imprints apart. At the same time, the destructive divine dragon transformation was activated. A violent force suddenly came out of his meridians. With a roar, Lin Yi twisted his body. Like a flying divine dragon, he clenched his fists and charged toward Du Yuetian with a violent force. Almost at the same time that the palm print was shattered, Lin Yi's fists, which were infused with the power of thunder, had already reached Du Yuetian. Du Yuetian exclaimed, and a set of 10,000 inscriptions saint artifact appeared on his body. Bang! Bang! The 2 ferocious fists smashed down, and the crimson armor suddenly rippled with a special fluctuation. Oomph! Du Yuetian let out a muffled groan, and he felt an unstoppable force enter his body through the armor. His body trembled, and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. What a strong force! Du Yuetian was shocked, but before he could react, Lin Yi's attack came again. Whoosh! Lin Yi's body spun, and he raised his elbow and smashed it towards Du Yuetian's face. Damn it, why don't you hit my face? Du Yuetian cursed and crossed his arms, and a milky white light screen appeared in front of his hands. Pah! Amidst the crisp sound, his elbow suddenly slammed into the light screen. In an instant, thunder burst out, and the light screen was like a balloon, exploding with a loud bang. Chapter 504. Bang! With a crisp sound, the light curtain shattered with a loud bang. Lin Yi was like a furious dragon in human form. His hands, legs, and even every inch of his skin were bursting with powerful energy as he attacked Du Yuetian continuously. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of spiritual energy hitting the armor kept ringing. Du Yuetian only felt that the violent energy was like a wave, hitting his body one after another. The huge force made his whole body numb. He could only protect his head with both hands and bear Lin Yi's storm-like attacks. For a moment, the onlookers were stunned. Even the freshmen were stunned. Although they believed that Lin Yi could win, they were all stunned when they saw Lin Yi suppressing Du Yuetian and beating him violently. Everyone was looking forward to the earth-shattering battle between Lin Yi and Du Yuetian, but in reality, it was one-sided. Suddenly, there was a loud shout. The sacred artifact on Du Yuetian's body burst out several barriers and blocked in front of him. At the same time, an ice-blue long saber appeared and flew into Du Yuetian's hand. Bang, bang, bang. Lin Yi's attacks quickly fell on the barriers. Without any resistance, many cracks appeared on the barriers. However, Du Yuetian's counterattack came. Fierce wind, cold cloud, slash. Kill. His angry voice was mixed with biting cold air. Several white saber chi flew out, swept across the space, and slashed Lin Yi one after another. Raising his eyebrows, Lin Yi did not put up any defense. Instead, he stuck out his chest and chose to take the saber chi head-on. Bang! Bang, bang! The sharp saber chi slashed on his chest, but there was a burst of metal clanging sound. The powerful force forced Lin Yi to fly back dozens of feet. However, only a few marks were left on his chest. Even his skin did not crack. The divine dragon 9 transformations is indeed powerful. The corners of Lin Yi's mouth curled up slightly. After this attempt, Lin Yi was finally certain that with the support of the divine dragon 9 transformations and the ascending dragon transformation, the strength of his physique was not inferior to a late-stage, saint stage expert in the slightest. If he had used his absolute defense, he might not even have been able to leave behind those marks. Lin Yi did not know why he was able to cultivate to the Nirvana divine dragon realm in one go, but this real improvement surprised him. After figuring out the strength of his physique, Lin Yi was no longer worried and completely relaxed. He didn't use any sacred artifacts. With a twist of his body, he unleashed the 7 layers of the Celestial Emperor's fist and the heaven-destroying finger at the same time. The sharp shadow of the golden index finger, mixed with the violent fist wind, whistled again. Slash! Duyuetian let out a long howl as his frost domain erupted behind him. Fluttering snowflakes instantly filled the entire arena, and the temperature abruptly dropped. The cold energy gathered and poured into the long saber. The biting cold saber energy mixed with the cold energy collided with Lin Ye's attack. Boom! 3 completely different types of powerful forces collided, and immediately, a powerful shockwave erupted. It was as if an earth dragon had flipped over, sweeping and spreading in all directions. The vast shockwave was mixed with cold air, causing the onlookers to shiver. They felt as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. Wong, Flawless White, was slightly surprised. He waved his right hand lightly, and the next moment, a milky white light curtain shrouded the entire arena. The shockwave hit the light curtain and dissipated like a stone sinking into the sea. Of course, Lin Yi and Duyuetian did not notice this. The two of them were like 2 fierce beasts, constantly colliding with each other. The sharp saber slashed Lin Ye's body continuously, and the sound of metal clashing could be heard incessantly. Lin Yi and Duyuetian's figures became faster and faster. In the end, the onlookers could only hear the sound and could not see their figures clearly. They could only vaguely see the 2 figures constantly separating and colliding. Only a few students who were close to the peak of the Saint Realm could clearly see the collision between Lin Yi and Duyuetian. Clang, clang, clang. After a quarter of an hour, the crisp sound of metal clashing suddenly trembled. Lin Yi and Duyuetian flew backward at the same time and stopped in the air. Everyone looked over and couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. The 10,000 patterns Saint artifact armor on Duyuetian's body was completely shattered, and his face was covered in bruises. Of course, Lin Yi wasn't in a good condition either. There were countless saber wounds on his body, and some of his skin was cracked. Even his blood was frozen, and it was a horrifying sight. It can't be right. Lin Yi is merely a 9th tribulation half-true saint. How can he fight senior brother Du to a draw? It is said that Lin Yi has many supreme saint artifacts. Is senior brother Du really going to lose? In an instant, an ominous feeling rose in the hearts of many senior students. On the ring-shaped stage, Duyuetian's face was deathly pale, and he swallowed a mouthful of saliva. While everyone was focused on the battle between Lin Yi and Duyuetian, he snuck away. Duyuetian's face was solemn. He didn't dare to believe that Lin Yi was able to do this. Holding the long saber with both hands, Duyuetian's thoughts flickered. Frigid snow swirled behind him as a surge of saber chi soared into the sky. The frigid snow domain and the saber chi domain appeared at the same time, and they gradually merged under everyone's exclamations. As the frigid snow domain and the saber chi domain merged, Duyuetian's momentum skyrocketed, and it gave people a strong sense of oppression. Lin Yi, if you can take this move of mine, I will admit defeat. Duyuetian took a deep breath and merged the 2 domains. In an instant, the domain behind Duyuetian underwent a great transformation. It was as if he had broken through the shackles of his domain, and his strength had increased tremendously. Holding the long saber with both hands, an icy blue saber shadow appeared behind Duyuetian and lined up neatly behind him, as if it was his guardian angel. Seeing this scene, Lin Yi didn't dare to be negligent. He waved his right hand, and the sword domain appeared. Swish, swish, swish. Sword chi whizzed, and all the sword chi in the sky gathered together and suddenly condensed into a huge shadow of a sword. In the blood refining ground, it was forbidden to use offensive supreme sacred weapons. Lin Yi didn't feel comfortable using other sword-type sacred weapons, so he simply didn't use any of them. He just fully activated the Heaven Sword 12 styles and combined it with the sword domain. With a light wave of his right hand, the sword formed by the sword chi quietly fell into Lin Ye's hand. In an instant, Lin Yi was like a sharp sword out of its sheath, full of a sharp aura. He suddenly raised his head, and the sword chi in his eyes was so sharp that it seemed to pierce through everything, including the entire world. Frosty Ghost cut. Du Yuetian suddenly jumped up and flipped his long saber. The shadow of the long saber behind him emitted a strong chill, and it fell toward Lin Yi like the reverse flow of the heavenly river. Hiss! When the onlookers saw this scene, they all sucked in a breath of cold air, feeling incomparably shocked. The frigid snow in the sky, mixed with the strong saber chi, made it difficult for the onlookers to breathe. Even Zhu Mingyong and the others felt the pressure, and their expressions changed slightly. Sword chi traversing 30,000 miles. A crisp shout rang out. The next moment, the sharp sword chi swept out and collided with the frigid snow in the sky. Chapter 505. Boom, boom, boom. Sword chi soared into the sky and raged wildly, constantly colliding with the cold snow and saber chi. Bursts of cold air permeated the air and completely covered Lin Yi and Du Yuetian. Hiss! The onlookers looked at the cold air nervously and were extremely nervous, especially those from the Flying Snow sect, who were quite worried. Boom, boom, boom. As time passed, the sound of explosions and shock waves became weaker and weaker. After a while, all the sounds and shock waves stopped abruptly. The cold air dissipated and gradually disappeared in front of everyone. Everyone looked up and saw two figures clearly. Lin Yi had his hands behind his back and looked calm. His clothes and skin were covered with white snow. Du Yuetian was holding his saber with both hands. The sacred armor on his body was shattered and drops of blood flowed down along the armor. Puff! Suddenly, Du Yuetian trembled all over and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. In an instant, all the seniors fell silent and their faces were full of shock. They did not expect Lin Yi, a freshman, to be able to defeat a top 100 expert on the Transforming Saint list on his second day in the outer yard. If Lin Yi defeated Zhu Mingyong again today, he would definitely become a legend of this era. All hail the sect leader. All hail the senior brother Lin. Ha ha ha. The seniors fell silent, but the freshmen cheered wildly and were extremely excited. One exciting battle. Flawless White's voice was not loud, but it was as loud as a bell and suppressed all the cheers. Lin Yi wins and inherits Du Yuetian's ranking. He receives 10% of Du Yuetian's points. Phew! Du Yuetian exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and withdrew his saber. He said softly, "You win. I accept my defeat wholeheartedly." As he spoke, Du Yuetian coughed, and blood flowed out continuously. His heart was filled with despair. That move just now was his best move, but he was still defeated. He could not help but doubt himself. After all, he was a top 100 expert on the Transforming Saint list. If he could not even defeat a freshman, how could he survive in the future? It's time for you to fulfill the bet. Seeing that Du Yuetian had admitted defeat, Lin Yi said indifferently, "Let your brother kneel down and apologize. If your brother dared to provoke me like this outside, he would have already become a corpse." Understood. Du Yuetian nodded slightly. He knew Du Yuelin very well. He immediately turned around and looked in the direction of the people from the Flying Snow sect. However, when he looked at it, his expression changed. Damn it, where's Du Yuelin? Noticing the change in Du Yuetian's expression, Lin Yi followed his line of sight and was surprised to find that Du Yuetian had run away. Where's Du Yuelin? Strange. Wasn't he here just a moment ago? Why did he suddenly disappear? Everyone from the Flying Snow sect was shocked. Soon after, they started to feel indignant towards Du Yuelin. Your elder brother took part in the gambling match for you, but you ran away when you saw that the situation wasn't good? No one who could enter the Cebu Gakuen was a fool. How could they not know what Du Yuelin was thinking? For a moment, Du Yuelin was like a rat crossing the street. Everyone was looking at him with disdain. The corners of Du Yuetian's mouth twitched, and he was furious. Frowning, Lin Yi was about to say something when he saw that Du Yuelin had run away. However, he heard a bang. When he turned around to look, Lin Ye's pupils suddenly shrank, and he was completely stunned on the spot. He saw that Du Yuetian had knelt down on the arena with a determined look on his face. Lin Yi was shocked. He wanted to say something, but stopped. Boss. Hiss. What is Du Yuetian doing? I'm not sure. I heard that the feud between Du Yuetian and Lin Yi was because of his younger brother, Du Yuelin. I didn't expect that after Du Yuetian was defeated, his younger brother ran away, and he took all the responsibility. What a real man. Not only Lin Yi, but all the onlookers were also stunned. Even Bai Wuxiao was looking at Du Yuetian with interest in his eyes. Brother Lin, you have to admit defeat, Du Yuetian said in a low voice. I know that it was my younger brother's fault. However, he is my younger brother after all. I can't let him be punished so easily. Even if I have to punish him, I have to go back and do it. Since I have lost today, I will give you an explanation. What happened earlier was the fault of the Du family. I hope you can forgive us. Today, I will apologize to you on behalf of Yuelin. After that, Du Yuetian slapped his chest with his right hand. Bang! Puff! Du Yuetian's face turned pale as blood spurted out from his mouth. The blood on the ground was mixed with pieces of his internal organs. Seeing this, everyone's hearts trembled. They were full of admiration for Du Yuetian. Hiss! Get up now. Lin Yi took a step forward and quickly helped Du Yuetian up. He did not have a good impression of Du Yuetian before. However, Lin Yi could not bear to see Du Yuetian like this. All the dissatisfaction he had for Du Yuetian dissipated. It's great that you can forgive me. Du Yuetian smiled. As for the compensation, I will send it to you in a few days. You still have to fight today. I will not waste your time. Du Yuetian cupped his fists and got up. He endured the pain and walked toward the exit. Boss, everyone from the Flying Snow sect rushed over and helped Du Yuetian up. They left slowly while everyone looked at them with admiration. It had to be said that Du Yuetian's move was truly astonishing. The first round of the battle is over. Both parties, please come up to the stage for the second round. Bai Wuxiao's calm voice rang out. Everyone turned their gazes to Zhu Mingyong. Du Yuetian, who was ranked in the top 100 of the Transforming Saint board, had been defeated. They wondered if Zhu Mingyong, who was ranked 45th, could defeat Lin Yi. For a moment, Zhu Mingyong was nervous. Taking a deep breath, Zhu Mingyong leaped onto the stage. With a flip of his hands, a pair of black iron gloves appeared on his hands. Lin Yi, you just went through a great battle. Zhu Mingyong did not want to be known as someone who took advantage of others. He shouted, Do you want to rest for a while? I can wait for you. As his voice sounded out, everyone's gazes turned towards Lin Yi. No need. Lin Yi smiled calmly. It's just fighting the two of you. I don't need to rest. You are too arrogant. Zhu Mingyong was furious. He threw his worries and nervousness to the back of his mind and stared at Lin Yi angrily. Ha ha. In that case, let's begin. Bai Wuxiao laughed out loud and tapped his finger. In an instant, another layer of light appeared and enveloped the entire battle ring. The battle between Lin Yi and Du Yuetian had almost hurt the spectators. If Flawless White did not prepare for the battle, Lin Yi and Zhu Mingyong would have been lucky to kill someone. Lin Yi, I don't want to bully you, but since you are courting death, don't blame me for being merciless. Zhu Mingyong clenched his fists. He knew that Lin Yi was powerful and did not dare to hold back. He raised his hands and threw 2 punches. Rumble. The angry dragon roared, and the 2 fists danced wildly. Suddenly, they transformed into a flood dragon, roaring, and attacking Lin Yi. Chapter 506. The dragon roared, and the fist wind swept out, mixed with a strong dragon aura. The entire arena was filled with the biting cold fist wind, like a hurricane cutting through the air. Seeing this scene, the hearts of many senior students immediately surged with emotions. Senior Brother Zhu, you can do it. Senior Brother Zhu, you must defeat this new student and win some face for us seniors. Many senior students cheered for Zhu Mingyong, but Lin Yi showed a strange expression when he felt the saint aura. It had to be said that Zhu Mingyong was very strong, only one step away from the peak of the Saint realm. The surging Saint aura of this punch made Lin Yi, who did not use a supreme artifact, feel pressure. Unfortunately, the Saint aura was mixed with the Dragon aura. Annihilation Divine Dragon Transformation. With a light shout, Lin Yi did not defend at all. He activated the Rising Dragon Transformation and suddenly faced the dragon head-on. Boom! Boom! The fist wind was like a knife, constantly cutting Lin Yi's skin. However, the dragon aura was like a river flowing backward, quickly being absorbed by Lin Yi into his body. Roar! A moment later, an ear-piercing dragon roar sounded. Lin Yi's shoulders shook, and his whole body soared into the sky like a divine dragon. As for the fist wind from before, it was shattered by the sound wave of the dragon's roar and disappeared. What's going on? Seeing this scene, Zhu Mingyong could not help but panic. Damn it, this guy's really troublesome. Gritting his teeth, Zhu Mingyong did not wait for Lin Yi to make a move. The 10,000 inscriptions sacred artifact suddenly appeared and covered his whole body. The power of the domain bloomed, and tens of thousands of wind domains rotated like countless hurricanes, cutting the space in the entire arena. Chi! Chi! The strong wind whistled. Even though Lin Yi's physique was comparable to a late-stage saint expert, he could not withstand it. In addition, Du Yuetian's previous attack had caused some injuries to Lin Yi. In just a moment, Lin Yi's skin cracked and blood flowed out. Even the Divine Dragon 9 transformations could not withstand it. The Starry Sky Divine art circulated. The Supreme Mystery Shield appeared, and the Supreme Mystery Shield blocked in front of Lin Yi. In this way, the tornadoes were completely blocked. Offensive Supreme Sacred Artifacts couldn't be used, but defensive ones could be used. As soon as the Supreme Mystery Shield appeared, Lin Yi felt much more at ease. Even if he couldn't defeat Zhu Mingyong easily, his safety was guaranteed. He can even block that? Zhu Mingyong's mouth twitched. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. He clenched his teeth and waved his hands. Boom! The strong wind gathered and poured into Zhu Mingyong's body. A pair of silver-white wings that were completely condensed out of strong winds emerged. Slightly flapping the wings, Zhu Mingyong's body floated up. He gently raised his right hand, and the strong winds in the sky suddenly turned into long spears, shooting towards Lin Yi with a whistling sound. The supreme holy armor appeared. Lin Yi looked at the whistling long spear with a serious expression. It was too difficult to resist Zhu Mingyong without using methods like raging flames and crimson light. Taking a deep breath, Lin Yi narrowed his eyes. The power of divine sense that was dormant in his body quietly awakened. However, when the onlookers saw this, they didn't understand Lin Yi's actions. They were all suspicious. Why did this guy close his eyes? Could it be that he felt that there was no hope of resisting and gave up? What's wrong with Brother Lin? Everyone was suspicious and immediately started to discuss. Even Shangwan Yunqi and the others were shocked. They didn't understand what Lin Yi was doing. Only Qing Yu changed her lazy attitude and stared at Lin Yi. Boom! 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 Suddenly, the surging power of divine sense exploded. Elephant divine art. Everything could be transformed. With a soft shout, Lin Yi formed a seal with both hands and fully activated the elephant divine art and the 3,000 ways of heaven. His divine sense, which was as deep as the sea, suddenly turned into a giant bear. It roared and beat its chest as it charged towards the gale spears that filled the sky. Poof! Poof! One after another, the long spears pierced into the giant bear's body. However, they were stuck inside, as if they were stuck in a quagmire. They couldn't move at all. In just a short while, all the long spears that had turned into strong winds had sunk into the giant bear's body. Lin Yi's thoughts moved, and the giant bear disappeared quietly. The long spears in it collapsed and turned into strong winds that swept across the entire area. The asterisk imminent. Cursing under his breath, Zhu Mingyong lightly waved his right hand. Countless gusts of wind rose up and attacked the forest. At the same time, Zhu Mingyong's body was like a nimble fish. He rushed towards Lin Yi and swung his fist at Lin Yi. Zhu Mingyong was proficient in fist techniques. The boxing gloves on his hands were even a supreme-grade sacred artifact. They were extremely powerful. Humph! With a cold snort, Lin Yi fully activated the power of divine sense. The elephant divine art erupted and transformed into many forms, colliding with Zhu Mingyong's two attacks. However, with flawless white's light screen shrouding them, there were even fewer divine sense saints among the many students. No one noticed Lin Yi's divine sense power at all. They were only surprised to find that Zhu Mingyong was like a marionette, constantly fighting with the air. As for Lin Yi, he sat silently at the side as if he was meditating. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned, and they all started guessing. What's going on? Why is senior brother Zhu fighting with the air? Could it be that Lin Yi knows illusions? Everyone was hesitant. Only a few divine sense saints noticed that something was wrong, but they couldn't be sure. Boom, boom, boom. Amidst everyone's surprise, Zhu Mingyong seemed to have gone mad. All kinds of powerful attacks exploded continuously, as if even the heavens and earth were about to shake. In the air where they couldn't see, the surging power of divine sense sometimes turned into a giant dragon, sometimes a fierce tiger, and sometimes a behemoth. It resisted Zhu Mingyong's attacks one after another. It had to be said that the elephant divine art was worthy of being an upper-grade sacred artifact. Not only did it have amazing defensive power, but it also had superb attack power. When it turned into a fierce tiger, each divine sense had the sharpness of a tiger's claws. It directly attacked Zhu Mingyong and forced him to retreat. Moreover, the elephant divine art had many changes and wasn't afraid of being restrained at all. Lin Yi could choose various forms according to the changes in Zhu Mingyong's attacks to deal with them. In this way, Zhu Mingyong suffered. After attacking for a long time without success, every time Zhu Mingyong wanted to ease his attacks, Lin Yi's counterattack came suddenly. However, if he continued to attack, Lin Yi would retreat again and continue to dissolve and eliminate Zhu Mingyong's power. After an hour, Zhu Mingyong finally couldn't take it anymore. In a long roar, he clenched his fists and spun his body, bringing with it countless hurricanes. He suddenly attacked Lin Yi. Seeing this, Lin Yi's lips curled up. With a slight thought, thousands of divine sense powers suddenly turned into a behemoth. Its body was majestic and immediately blocked Zhu Mingyong's entire body. In the next moment, another goshawk appeared. It screeched, and its sharp claws contained divine sense. It quickly grabbed at Zhu Mingyong, who was spinning rapidly in the air. Screech. Chapter 507. How fast was the divine telekinesis? Almost instantly, a blood-curdling scream was heard. The eagle formed by the divine telekinesis had pierced through Zhu Mingyong's arm. Blood was gushing out. D*M. How could this be? Zhu Mingyong was shocked. He could not believe that Lin Yi could break his protective sacred weapon and pierce through his arm. However, the constant pain in his head reminded him that everything was real. Gritting his teeth, Zhu Mingyong was completely ruthless. He ignored the injuries on his body and stared at Lin Yi fiercely. At this moment, Zhu Mingyong only had one goal. Even if he was defeated, he wanted to make Lin Yi pay the price. Puchi. The wind howled, filled with killing intent. Even Lin Yi's body twitched a little. The next moment, the divine telekinesis surged and exploded. Tigers, wolves, eagles, poisonous snakes, countless beasts bare their fangs and pounced on Zhu Mingyong crazily. At the same time, Lin Yi fully activated the divine sword constitution. The sharp sword chi was immediately contained in the divine telekinesis. The next moment, Zhu Mingyong felt the sharp sword chi penetrating his body. He could no longer hold on. His body went limp and his meridians collapsed. He could no longer muster any strength. Zhu Mingyong's face turned ugly. He knew that he was going to lose. The The territory dissipated and the sacred force collapsed. Zhu Mingyong's vision turned black. He fell to the ground and fainted. Huff, huff, huff. Zhu Mingyong suddenly fainted. However, he could not withdraw the divine telekinesis quickly. The beasts, which contained the sharp sword qi, suddenly pounced on the unconscious Zhu Mingyong. Oh no! Seeing this scene, Lin Yi was shocked. Just as he was about to make a move, he saw a white light fall. In an instant, all the power in the arena was like snow meeting the sun, quietly dissipating without a trace. Silver light flashed on Zhu Mingyong's body. His face relaxed. Seeing this, Lin Yi let out a long sigh of relief. He retracted his divine sense and looked at Zhu Mingyong indifferently. It had to be said that Zhu Mingyong was very strong. If it weren't for the 10,000 godly skill that allowed him to freely switch between offensive and defensive forms, it would have been very difficult to defeat Zhu Mingyong. Of course, this was under the condition that he did not use his supreme sacred weapon. If Lin Yi had used the Crimson Flame and the 9 Cauldron suppressing gods, he wouldn't have needed to waste so much energy to deal with Zhu Mingyong. The originally noisy crowd in the blood refining ground had now turned silent. On the other side of the platform, the members of the Cloud Mountain were completely dumbfounded. They stood where they were in a daze with their mouths slightly agape, especially Wang Jiaxing and the others. Originally, they were still imagining that Lin Yi would be beaten up by Zhu Mingyong, and then they would humiliate Lin Yi. They never thought that the outcome would be like this. Zhu Mingyong, who they had placed high hopes on, would actually lose to Lin Yi in such a baffling manner. In their line of sight, Zhu Mingyong suddenly started fighting with the air. Then he fainted. Therefore, they did not know what method Lin Yi had used to defeat Zhu Mingyong. However, they could see that Zhu Mingyong had lost. Moreover, Lin Yi did not break any rules. With Flawless White's existence, they did not dare to doubt him and would not doubt him. On the other hand, the freshmen were the opposite. Even Shangwan Yunqi, Qin Yu, and the rest revealed smiles as they felt rather carefree. Lin Ye's victory meant that the freshman's position would be stabilized from now on. Cough, cough. A slight cough was heard. Zhu Mingyong's face relaxed as he woke up. He lifted his head and saw Lin Ye's indifferent expression. Other than his face being slightly pale, he did not receive any injuries. He could not help but reveal a bitter smile. No wonder you have such confidence. You are actually a divine sense saint. Zhu Mingyong smiled bitterly as he accepted his defeat wholeheartedly. A divine sense saint was invincible among those of the same level. Coupled with Lin Ye's unpredictable divine ability, Zhu Mingyong could not summon any thoughts of resistance. Buzz! Hearing Zhu Mingyong admit defeat, Flawless White waved his hand and the light screen on the stage dissipated. His light voice immediately reverberated in everyone's ears. The second battle, Lin Yi wins. Lin Yi will inherit Zhu Mingyong's ranking and obtain 10% of Zhu Mingyong's points. As soon as his voice fell, the entire blood refinement field suddenly erupted with a dazzling light. The golden light flickered and blinded everyone's eyes. The older students in the field were still fine. The moment the golden light appeared, they closed their eyes. The freshmen only hesitated for a moment, and in the next moment, all of them wailed. After a moment, the dazzling golden light dissipated and a light screen appeared in front of everyone. It was a ranking list. On the list, the names after the 45th place flickered and changed quietly. Lin Ye's name was written like a dragon. It was vigorous and powerful and hung at the 45th place. Zhu Mingyong fell down 1 place, and the rest followed, until Du Yuetian's original ranking. This is the transforming saint list? So impressive. How good would it be if my name could be on the list? Many of the freshmen looked at the transforming saint list and were looking forward to the moment their names appeared on the list. Lin Yi raised his head and looked at the names flickering with golden light. He suddenly felt a little emotional. Looking up slowly, the top 10 names on the list were flickering with a purple-gold light, giving people a strong sense of oppression. His gaze continued to move up. When Lin Yi saw the name of the person at the top of the list, he was stunned. The name of the first place on the list was Chun Daoxian. Isn't Chun Daoxian an elder? Why is he on the list? The corner of Lin Ye's mouth twitched. His heart was full of surprise. Shangguan Yunqi was also stunned and looked at Lin Yi in a daze. The list only lasted for a moment and soon disappeared before everyone's eyes. Many of the freshmen were still amazed and kept talking about the transforming saint list. The older students looked at Lin Yi with a complicated expression. At this time, they all understood that this year's freshmen were not soft persimmons that they could bully. Some of the freshmen who had sided with the older students regretted it and wanted to slap themselves a few times. Phew, I admit defeat. With a long sigh, Zhu Mingyong got up with difficulty and walked to Lin Ye's side. He raised his right hand and handed the bracelet to Lin Yi. Lin Yi did not hesitate and directly accepted Zhu Mingyong's points. There were more than 500,000 points. With a huge sum of money in his account, Lin Yi felt a lot better in his heart. Thinking about it again, he could still win nearly 1,000,000 points from the betting, which made him even more refreshed. He was too lazy to argue with Zhu Mingyong and indifferently said, "Remember your own words. From now on, we will mind our own business." Of course. Chapter 508. After the battle ended, many seniors sighed and left, their faces full of sadness. At the peak of Cloud Mountain, the people gave their points to the few people who had set up the bets and left angrily to catch up with Zhu Mingyong. Without Lin Ye's instructions, Shangguan Yunqi and the others hurriedly went to find the seniors to ask for their points. Just as Lin Yi was about to leave, Flawless White floated to his side, making his heart tremble. Flawless White was extremely powerful, and even Chun Daoxian was no match for him. In addition, Flawless White regarded him as Chun Daoxuan's man, and their relationship was not good. Lin Yi was naturally worried. "Don't be nervous." Sensing Lin Ye's nervousness, Flawless White smiled and said, "I won't eat you. Why are you nervous? You did well this time. You've only been in the outer yard for 3 days, and you've already caused such a big stir. You even made it to the top 50 of the Saint transforming list. I have to say, it's really a miracle. Back then, even I couldn't do this." The corner of Lin Ye's mouth twitched. He did not know how to reply, so he simply played dumb and did not answer. He just smiled and looked at Flawless White. "After this battle, your reputation will spread. I'm afraid there will be people who are not convinced and will challenge you. I don't know how far you can go." Flawless White's expression was indifferent. After saying this, he looked into the distance. Lin Yi sized up Flawless White, and suddenly his guard against him dissipated. Elder Bai, the strongest disciple in the outer yard, is only a late-stage saint? Lin Yi suddenly asked. If that's the case, the outer yard is Flawless White immediately laughed out loud. "Lin Yi, are you trying to say that if that's the case, Sibu Gakuin's strength is too weak?" "That's right." Lin Yi nodded slightly. Sibu Gakuin was one of the most powerful forces in the entire continent. It was impossible that the students that were only at the later stage of the Saint realm. If a late-stage Saint could enter the Saint transforming board, and a peak Saint could enter the inner court, then wouldn't the peak strength of the inner court be the Great Sage? There were still many realms above the Great Sage. Could it be that there were none? The outer court you've seen is only the tip of the iceberg. Flawless White said indifferently. It's still not the time for the test to enter the inner court. Many people are still in hibernation and won't reveal their strength. You'll realize that their strength isn't weak when the inner court quota battle begins. Anyone who can enter the inner courtyard is a monster. For example, UNMO, whom you defeated earlier. UNMO? Hearing this, Lin Yi couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. What's wrong with him? Although his strength is not bad, but, in all honesty, Lin Yi didn't put UNMO in his heart. When he was a 5th Tribulation half-true saint, he could defeat UNMO. Although he had used a Supreme Saint artifact, it was enough to prove that his strength wasn't very strong. Flawless White smiled faintly. He, the UNMO who went to participate in the hunting war, was merely his incarnation. Incarnation? Lin Ye's pupil shrank. Blinking his eyes, he exclaimed. That was merely his incarnation. That's right, Flawless White said solemnly. Not even an incarnation. That incarnation couldn't even display 1/10 of his strength. Otherwise, it would be harder than ascending to the heavens to defeat him. At the very least, it would be very difficult for the current you. Hiss! Hearing this, Lin Yi couldn't help sucking in a breath of cold air. His initial arrogance dissipated in an instant. A master would always have the heart of an apprentice. Arrogance would only dig one's own grave. In fact, Flawless White didn't need to tell Lin Yi this, but when he realized that Lin Yi was looking down on others, he decided to remind Lin Yi. He didn't want to see a genius fall from grace because of pride. Many thanks for Elder's reminder. Taking a deep breath, Lin Yi cupped his fists and bowed to Flawless White. No need to be so polite. Flawless White smiled and said, In a few months, there will be a great fortune waiting for you. That fortune is also an opportunity for you to enter the inner courtyard. I hope you can seize it. A great fortune? Raising his eyebrows, Lin Yi couldn't help but feel astonished. Whether it was Theta, Scarabii, Chun Daoxian, or Flawless White, all of them had told him about this matter. This made him very curious. What kind of fortune would it be to be able to surprise people of their level? However, before Lin Yi could ask, Flawless White changed the topic and asked, Little guy, you've learned his elephant's divine skills so quickly. Don't tell me you've become his disciple and received his inheritance? No. Lin Yi hesitated for a moment, but still decided to clarify things with Flawless White. After all, the grudge between Chun Daoxian and Flawless White was between the elders. He was only a student. If he got involved for no reason, it would be very easy for him to get hurt. Elder Bai, I only promised Elder Chun one thing, so Elder Chun will guide me. So that's how it is. Nodding slightly, Flawless White's eyes were filled with suspicion. That's right. Lin Yi suddenly thought of the name on the transforming saint ranking and asked doubtfully, Elder Bai, why is Elder Chin's name on the ranking? Isn't he an elder? Ha ha ha. Hearing this, Flawless White immediately laughed out loud. He's not an elder. Moreover, the top 3 existences on the transforming saint ranking are not determined by the bet in the blood refinement field. It's based on their contributions to the academy. If your contributions are insufficient, no matter how high your cultivation level is or how strong you are, you won't be able to replace the top 3. Elder Chun, Senior Brother Chun, has made great contributions to the academy. Lin Yi was slightly surprised, but he was looking forward to the top 3 on the transforming saint ranking. That's right. Ba Wuxian nodded slightly and suddenly said with a smile, This saint transforming board is a good thing. With your current ranking, you can get 100,000 points every month. The higher your ranking, the more points you will get. This can be considered a benefit given to you by the academy. Little fellow, you have to work harder. If you can charge into the top 3, you will get millions of points every month and won't have to worry about points anymore. Millions of points every month. Hearing this, Lin Yi could not help but be shocked. If he really made it into the top 3, wouldn't that mean that he would be able to exchange for some top-grade Saint rank treasures in a few months? So many points. How long will it take to earn them? Grinning, Lin Yi's desire to be in the top 3 of the transforming Saint ranking grew. Ha ha! Flawless White's eyes turned and suddenly said, If you want to quickly earn points, I suggest you go to the Heavenly Thunder Realm to try it out. Not only can you timber your body there, but you can also earn points faster. Heavenly Thunder Realm. Chapter 509. After chatting for a while, Flawless White realized that Lin Yi had always been on guard against him. He smiled and quickly left. After Flawless White left, Shangguan Yunqi and the rest dared to step forward. Without waiting for Lin Yi to speak, the excited Shangguan Yunqi, Tang Linkong, and the rest lifted Lin Yi up and threw him up. Words like Senior Brother Lin is mighty and so on were incessant. Lin Yi was embarrassed to interrupt everyone's wild cheers. After a while, everyone calmed down and Lin Yi began to tally up the points. This time, winning the gambling battle, not only did their Heavenly Sword sect make a name for themselves, but they also obtained countless points. Previously, Almost no one believed that Lin Yi could win. They all bet on Du Yuetian and Zhu Mingyong to win. Now that Lin Yi won, he obtained nearly 2 million points. After hesitating for a moment, Lin Yi did not draw the points himself. Instead, he divided the points equally among everyone. This time, after all, it was the first time they were united. They must let everyone feel the friendliness of the organization. 2 million points. Even if it was divided among more than 6,000 disciples, each of them would get more than 300 points. After knowing this, the freshmen were ecstatic and began to celebrate. Shangguan Yunxi, Mu Yi, Tang Lingkong, and the rest were responsible for livening up the atmosphere. Lin Yi left Sun Wuyu and Silent Soul behind and secretly rushed back to the courtyard. On the way, Qinghua caught up. Rolling his eyes, Lin Yi smiled and said, "Why? Not chatting with everyone for a while. Boring." Qingyue's expression was indifferent, as if she did not care about those things at all. "Huh, then go back and cultivate." Lin Yi laughed dryly and did not want to brush off Qingyue's face. "All right," Qingyue suddenly asked, "just now, when you were fighting with Zhu Mingyong, did you use your divine sense?" "Yes." Lin Yi nodded slightly. "Coincidentally, I had a breakthrough in my divine sense these few days, so I tried it. Why don't we spar someday?" Qingyue stared straight at Lin Yi and said in a deep voice, "The divine ability you used today gave me a special feeling. We'll spar?" Raising his brows, Lin Yi couldn't help but feel astonished. He started to think about Qingyue's motive. Qingyue was a little mysterious to him. Moreover, Qingyue, who had always been cold, was so proactive when it came to him. He couldn't help but be curious. Forget it. Not every battle has an elder. It would be troublesome if you got hurt. Lin Yi smiled. "I've only just comprehended that move, so I'm still unable to control it." "No problem. I have the ability to protect myself." Qingyue smiled. "You don't have to worry about me. It's settled then. We'll head to the blood refinement ground a few days later." After saying that, Qingyue didn't wait for Lin Yi to refuse or agree and quickly left. Lin Yi was dumbfounded. What was going on? Did he just make an appointment with her? With a bitter smile, Lin Yi didn't care about Qingyue and went back to cultivate. As for the battle with her, he could just casually make a move when the time comes. Back in the courtyard, Lin Yi packed up and entered the 9-layer space to cultivate. In this battle, Lin Yi fully activated the 10,000 godly skill, and his understanding of the 10,000 godly skill deepened. Lin Yi spent 2 months to completely stabilize the 3rd level of the 10,000 elephant divine skill, and suppressed his own realm a little. Then, Lin Yi began to comprehend the 4th level of the elephant divine art. The elephant divine art was unique. Every 3 levels were a change. It was extremely difficult to comprehend it. Fortunately, Lin Yi had Chun Daoxuan's comprehension of the elephant divine art. Adding his own practice, it was a walk in the park for him to cultivate the elephant divine art. In just half a month, Lin Yi successfully broke through to the 4th level of the elephant divine art. 1.5 months, the 5th level of the elephant divine art. 3 months, the 6th level of the elephant divine art was successfully cultivated. 7 months later, Lin Yi exited his cultivation state. At this time, Silent Soul and Sun Wuyu had returned. It had only been a day in the outside world. "Young master," Silent Soul suddenly said, "should we set up a reward and punishment system for the Sky Rapier sect? Or an exchange system? Some students don't need a lot of points. We can use sacred weapons, elixirs, or martial techniques to exchange for points. At the same time, some students don't have a high demand for martial skills and sacred weapons. We can use our points to exchange for them. This way, we can be self-sufficient. At the same time, the entire Sky Rapier sect will become active. Every student will want to build our Sky Rapier sect." That's a good idea." Slightly nodding, Lin Yi agreed with Silent Soul's idea. Obviously, this idea must have come from Shangguan Yunxi and the others. It can be implemented. Silent Soul smiled and reached out his hand. He blinked and looked at Lin Yi. What do you want?" Lin Yi was surprised. "Of course it's sacred weapons, martial techniques, and cultivation techniques. If you have any elixirs, Give me some too. Silent Soul curled his lips and said, You're the sect leader. Of course you have to pay for these things. Also, Sister Qingyue, Shangguan, and the others also contributed some martial techniques. You can't be stingy. Taking a deep breath, Lin Yi finally understood what Silent Soul meant. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. Luckily, I still have some on me. With a bitter smile, Lin Yi organized some medicinal pills, Saint-tier martial skills that he didn't need, and Saint-tier weapons into a storage ring. Just as he was about to hand it over to Solitary Spirit, he took back the calamity-breaking pill. For some reason, Lin Yi felt that the tribulation-breaking pill would be useful. Right now, he had suppressed his cultivation several times. If he suppressed it too much and couldn't break through, it would be troublesome for him to break through to the Saint Realm. It was necessary to leave behind a tribulation-breaking pill in case of an emergency. I'll leave the rest of you guys. If you don't have enough, come find me later. I'll make a trip to the Heavenly Thunder Realm and see if I can earn some points. After giving his instructions, Lin Yi didn't even bring Sun Wuyu with him. He went straight out of the courtyard and rushed to the Heavenly Thunder Realm. The Heavenly Thunder Realm was opposite the heart refining abyss. It wasn't close to where he was, so he still needed to use the teleportation array. Strolling in the academy, Lin Yi was soon recognized by people. In an instant, countless people pointed at Lin Yi with shocked expressions. After the battle at the blood refinement field, Lin Yi became famous, especially the seniors, who were very curious about Lin Yi. When they saw Lin Yi, they looked at him as if he was a monster. They couldn't wait to grab him and take a closer look. Even Lin Yi couldn't bear that kind of burning gaze. Goosebumps broke out all over his body. He quickly rushed to the teleportation array, not daring to stay any longer. Chapter 510. The Heavenly Thunder Realm. Looking from afar, the purple lightning gathered into a cloud net, like a mirror. However, it was a mirror filled with lightning. The Heavenly Thunder Realm is actually in the sky. Seeing the Heavenly Thunder Realm, Lin Yi was completely stunned. Looking up, he saw that lightning had covered the entire area. Under the mirror, there were students constantly passing by. After standing on the ground for a moment, lightning flashed, and in the next moment, their figures quietly disappeared. Seeing this scene, Lin Yi opened his eyes wide and immediately rushed towards the thunderclouds of the Heavenly Thunder Realm. Along the way, many students saw Lin Yi and were all surprised. Sect leader, you also came to the Heavenly Thunder Realm. A few new students saw Lin Yi, and their faces were filled with joy as they hurried over. They also had the Heavenly Sword sect badge on their bodies, and the two blood-red swords were extremely intimidating. Cultivate well. With a slight smile, Lin Yi patted the shoulders of the new students, and his figure flashed and disappeared from everyone's sight. Buzz! Arriving at the bottom of the Heavenly Thunder Realm, Lin Yi had just steadied himself when a bolt of lightning fell and enveloped him. In an instant, Lin Yi only felt a wave of distorted energy ripple, and he closed his eyes slightly. When he opened them again, what appeared in front of him was an endless amount of lightning. Looking around, the surroundings were filled with silver-white lightning, and electric arcs were jumping on it. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. One figure after another appeared, and those students rushed towards the arcs of light not far away with ease. Sensing this, Lin Yi touched his nose and also rushed towards the arcs of light. However, just as Lin Yi took a step forward, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him, and he immediately stopped. Phew! A new student? An ancient voice sounded. Lin Yi raised his head and saw that the person in front of him was an old man with a white beard, and the aura in his body was as deep as the sea, unfathomable. This surprised Lin Yi, and he believed Flawless White's words more and more. However, every outer elder had such strength, and Cebu Gakuin was indeed terrifying. Before Lin Yi could reply, the elder's face suddenly darkened. You dare to come here when you haven't broken through to the saint level? Hearing this, Lin Yi blinked and couldn't help but be curious. No one told him that there was a realm requirement to enter the heavenly thunder realm. Phew, little guy, go back and cultivate. The elder sighed and said helplessly, only saints can come here to temper their bodies. Only saints can come here? The corners of his mouth twitching. Lin was quite a bit. Why didn't they? With the Heavenly Sword sect and Chun Daoxian and the other elders that didn't remind him, and elders and flawless white, and Chun and elders. But if there was no such requirement, and he didn't know this elder, and there was no enmity between them, why would he stop him from entering? In fact, the reason why Shangguan Yunqi and the other elders didn't tell Lin Yi was because of his strength. Lin Ye's strength was too heaven-defying, to the point that they had forgotten that Lin Ye's cultivation had not even reached the saint realm. This elder didn't know Lin Ye's strength, and after sensing that Lin Yi was just a ninth tribulation half-true saint, he naturally wouldn't let him enter the heavenly thunder realm for his safety. Of course, Lin Yi wasn't aware of this point. Lin Ye's eyes turned, and he suddenly laughed. Elder, I'm just here to take a look and also to ask what's the use of this place. This is the heavenly thunder realm. The elder patiently explained to Lin Yi, including how to temper one's physique and how to absorb lightning. Through this, Lin Yi became more curious after seeing the elder's attitude. This elder was so amiable. It seemed like there really was a requirement to enter the heavenly thunder realm. This made Lin Yi feel incomparably strange, and he couldn't help ridiculing Flawless White and the others. After all, Shangguan Yunqi was a student, and it was understandable that he didn't know about this requirement, but Flawless White and Chun Daoxian had been in the academy for so many years, yet they had forgotten to tell him about this. This was really wrong. However, on second thought, Lin Yi thought of another possibility, and he muttered to himself, they didn't tell me. Maybe it's because my strength is enough for me to cultivate here. But that elder doesn't know. Looks like I can only sneak in later. After making up his mind, Lin Yi pretended to be studious and continued to ask the elder. Before long, Lin Yi had already familiarized himself with the heavenly thunder realm. There were a total of 7 stages corresponding to different realms. Elder, I heard that one can earn points here. How can one earn points? Lin Yi humbly asked for guidance. Of course, you can earn points. The elder sized up Lin Yi suspiciously and said in bewilderment, but you're just a 9 tribulation half-true saint, and you can't even enter the first stage of the heavenly thunder realm. Why are you asking so many questions? Cough, cough. I should do my homework in advance. Lin Yi laughed and said, Elder, I just came to the academy, and I want to know more about it. I'll come again after I break through. All right. Hearing this, the elder did not think too much about it, and said, in the heavenly thunder realm, lightning refines the body, and in the process of refining the body, if you absorb too much lightning, you can condense the essence of the lightning into a pill. That pill is called the lightning essence pill, and it is completely extracted from lightning, not refined. The lightning essence pill's effect is very strong. Not only can it temper one's physique, but can also strengthen one's comprehension of lightning element domain and many other aspects. For example, if you want to cultivate a lightning element cultivation technique or martial skill, after consuming the lightning essence pill, your comprehension ability will increase greatly. Of course, refining the lightning essence pill is not easy, and it takes 4 to 6 hours to refine one pill. Only a small number of people can enter the 5th and 6th stage of the heavenly thunder realm and borrow the vast lightning energy to increase the refining speed. So, the thunder essence pill is refined from the essence of the lightning. Nodding slightly, Lin Yi cupped his fists and thanked the elder. Since you've more or less understood, it's time to leave. Seeing that Lin Yi was so polite, the elder was satisfied and stroked his beard, but did not force Lin Yi to leave. At this time, another new student came up, and the elder's face changed, and he hurried over to explain the heavenly thunder realm to the new student. Although the lightning in the heavenly thunder realm was not as strange and secretive as the divine sense in the heart-refining abyss, it was more dangerous. Therefore, every time the academy recruited new students, there would always be an elder guarding this place to prevent the new students from getting hurt. Lin Yi turned his head and saw that the elder was engrossed in talking. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, and he immediately bent his body and quietly walked towards the arc of light not far away. That arc of light was the teleportation door of the Heavenly Thunder Realm, and it could allow people to teleport to the Heavenly Thunder Realm. Quietly arriving in front of the arc of light, Lin Yi reached out his hand to press on the arc of light, but before he could land, he suddenly heard a series of exclamations. "Little fellow, don't be rash. Come back quickly." Suddenly hearing that voice, Lin Yi's face changed slightly, and he immediately took a step forward and stepped into the arc of light. Chapter 511. Stepping into the arc of light, Lin Yi only felt his body lighten, and his entire soul was in a daze. In the next moment, when he opened his eyes again, Lin Yi was already in a sea of lightning. Crackle! Lightning continued to fall, and one after another, silver-white thunderbolts fell like raindrops. The violent thunderbolts, mixed with surging pressure, pressed down on Lin Yi like a huge mountain. Bang! Crackle! Suddenly, several thunderbolts struck Lin Yi's body. Ah! With a cry of surprise, Lin Yi was surprised to find that the seemingly violent thunderbolts struck his body, but there was no reaction at all. Not to mention pain, he didn't even feel the numbness of the thunderbolts. The thunderbolts here are so weak. Raising his hand, Lin Yi flew up, facing the several thunderbolts. Bang, bang, bang. In the next moment, 3 more thunderbolts struck Lin Yi's body. Lightning flashed past, but Lin Yi's skin didn't even have any changes. The first level of thunderbolts is so weak. The corner of his mouth twitched. Lin Yi was originally full of interest in the thunderbolts of the Heavenly Thunder Realm. After all, there were elders guarding this place, and those who weren't saints couldn't enter. He didn't expect that the first level of thunderbolts would be useless to him. The first level is still too weak to temper my physical body. Phew, let's continue down and see. Taking a deep breath, Lin Yi was just about to leave when he saw a flash of light behind him, and the space suddenly shattered. Raising his brows, Lin Yi hurriedly retreated, but saw that the elder had actually shattered the space, and stepped out of the space passage with both hands holding the space barrier. "Little guy, you're too mischievous. You haven't reached the Saint Realm, and anyone the thunderbolts here can kill you." As soon as the elder appeared, he glared at Lin Yi. However, when he realized that several thunderbolts were striking towards Lin Yi, he was instantly terrified. At this moment, he was still in the space tunnel and could not help Lin Yi block the lightning. Crackle! However, when the lightning fell, the elder's face suddenly stiffened. The corner of his mouth twitched, and he gradually revealed a shocked expression. That elder simply couldn't believe his own eyes. He could only stare blankly at Lin Yi. "Elder, you've caught up." Lin Yi smiled awkwardly, not feeling the slightest bit of being struck by lightning. The corner of the elder's mouth twitched. He only felt a burning pain on his cheeks. He had just said that Lin Yi would be struck to death by the lightning here. He didn't expect that he would be slapped in the face. "These thunderbolts can't harm you?" Taking a deep breath, the elder asked tentatively. "Maybe it's because of the body-refining technique that I mainly cultivate. My physique is even stronger than the average saint." Lin Yi rubbed his nose, feeling rather embarrassed. "Elder, you might not believe what I said just now, so I could only barge in." "All right." The elder's mouth twitched, and he sighed helplessly. "Since you're immune to the lightning here, then you can cultivate here." "Thank you, Elder." Lin Yi grinned and hurriedly cupped his fists in salute. The elder was especially upset. He glanced at Lin Yi and quietly released his hands. His body immediately disappeared into the space tunnel. Before his body completely disappeared, a soft voice floated into Lin Yi's ears. "Only after entering the 3rd level space can you refine the Thunder Essence Pill. Also, only the Great Sage can enter the 7th level space. Otherwise, only death awaits you." Hearing this, Lin Yi couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. Rubbing his nose, Lin Yi turned around and sped away, looking for the arcs of light that led to the second-level space. At this moment, Lin Yi finally discovered the rest of the people. It turned out that this space was not isolated. All the students were cultivating in a space. However, the sea of lightning was vast and boundless. The distance between each student was relatively far, so it was difficult to find others. Most of the students cultivating in the first-level space were freshmen. They had just broken through to the early stage of the Saint Realm, and their auras were still unstable. Because most of the freshmen had joined the Sky Rapier sect and hadn't had time to cultivate here, there were very few people in the first-level space. Lin Yi sped for a quarter of an hour, but he only saw a dozen people. After a long time, Lin Yi found the entrance to the second-level space. In the second-level space, the power of the lightning was much stronger. Although it still couldn't cause any harm to Lin Yi, it could make him feel numb. However, there were still very few people here. There were only a few people at the early stage of the Saint Realm. They gritted their teeth and desperately resisted the attack of the lightning. Without any hesitation, Lin Yi's figure flashed as he rushed towards the third space. As soon as he entered the third-level space, the original silver-white lightning was dyed with a light blue light. When the lightning struck, Lin Yi suddenly felt a huge force. He staggered and couldn't help but take a few steps back. Not only that, the lightning turned into electric arcs and drilled into Lin Yi's body, raging in his meridians. Noticing this, Lin Yi's expression changed slightly. He hurriedly activated the 3,000 ways of heaven and controlled the power of his divine thought to resolve all the lightning arcs. After resolving these lightning arcs, Lin Yi suddenly found that there was a warm current in his body, which was improving his meridians. Hiss! It really works, but the third-level lightning is still too weak. Touching his nose, Lin Yi was mentally prepared. Several more lightning arcs struck, making his body tremble violently. Other than that, there was no effect. Looking around, Lin Yi saw that there were a lot of people in the third lightning space. Lin Yi could feel the aura of a student every 500 meters. Most of the people were at the middle stage of the Saint Realm, and a few had reached the late stage of the Saint Realm. They were also tempering themselves in this space. But what surprised Lin Yi was that there were not many people refining the Thunder Element pill on this level. Could it be that the students in the academy were so rich that they didn't need to refine the Thunder Element pill? Surprised, Lin Yi came to the fourth-level space. The strength of the fourth-level lightning was much stronger than that of the third level. When it struck Lin Yi, it was as if he had been electrocuted. His whole body was numb, and the strong electric arcs drilled directly into Lin Yi's meridians. Lin Yi was so frightened that he hurriedly called out the supreme sacred armor. Only then did the power of the lightning dissipate. He calmed down and refined the lightning in his body. In the fifth-level space, the lightning had turned purple. Every bolt of lightning was like a trident, incomparably sharp. Even though Lin Yi had the protection of the supreme sacred armor, he couldn't resist when he came into contact with the lightning. He was directly sent flying. The 9 cauldrons appeared, and the light on them surged. Immediately, the surrounding lightning was weakened by a lot. Lin Yi finally caught his breath. Chapter 512. Lin Yi's figure appeared on the light screen. This kid is merely a 9th tribulation half-true saint. How can he withstand the lightning in the 5th space? Terrifying. The elders widened their eyes and opened their mouths. Their faces were filled with shock. Even late-stage Saint Realm experts would find it hard to withstand the lightning in the 5th space. In the outer hall, only the experts on the Transforming Saint list could cultivate in the 5th space. As for the 6th space, it was even rarer. Only the top 10 and top 20 disciples on the Transforming Saint list could withstand it. Look, he actually stabilized. Too terrifying. A mere 9th tribulation, half-true saint actually possesses such a physique. His talent is too strong. Someone, quickly report this matter to the Grand Elder. This kid's physique tempering talent is absolutely terrifying. We must report this matter. Elder Hong, should we strengthen the lightning in the 5th space? No need, let's wait and see. I believe that he will definitely go to the sixth space to check it out. Inside the fifth space, as the 9 divine cauldrons appeared, all the lightning energy was absorbed by the divine cauldrons and turned into the purest holy energy that poured into Lin Ye's body. The holy energy was like the most nourishing nourishment as it strengthened Lin Ye's physique. Suddenly, Lin Ye gained many new comprehensions. Immediately, his comprehension of thunder deepened. After a while, Lin Ye clenched his fists and felt a little surprised. In just a short while, his physique had become stronger. Let's test the speed of refining the lightning essence pill. However, Lin Ye's purpose in coming here wasn't to cultivate, but to earn points. With a thought, Lin Ye waved his hands and gathered all the thunderbolts. Purple electric arcs flashed and jumped in front of Lin Ye. Narrowing his eyes, Lin Ye's energy erupted from his body and wrapped around the lightning. He hammered it madly and refined the essence energy within. Boom, boom, boom. After a while, the lightning completely turned into essence energy and flickered with a faint light. Lin Ye extended his hand and once again attracted the lightning absorbed by the divine cauldron. For a moment, the entire fifth space was engulfed in violent thunderbolts. Under the defense of the 9 divine cauldrons, the lightning was unable to cause any harm to Lin Ye. He crazily absorbed the lightning and refined them, turning them into the purest Saint Chi and pouring them into Lin Ye's body. As for Lin Ye, he was refining the lightning and refining the essence of the lightning into a pill. Lin Ye and the 9 divine cauldrons absorbed the lightning at the same time. Soon, all the lightning in the fifth space converged toward them. In the space, the other students who were cultivating suddenly felt that something was wrong and quickly stopped cultivating. What's the situation? Why do I feel that the lightning has suddenly weakened a lot? Many of the students were perplexed as they looked around. They had never encountered such a situation before, so they looked up in surprise. As time passed, the lightning energy in the space became weaker and weaker. Phew! Wait a minute, what a powerful lightning fluctuation. Let's go and take a look. All of a sudden, the students sensed the violent lightning energy. Their hearts were filled with shock as they rushed towards the lightning energy. Along the way, the students met one another and couldn't help but talk about strange things. Everyone was very curious. However, when they arrived at the place where the lightning energy was the most violent, they were all stunned. In front of them, a figure was bathing in the sea of lightning and refining the lightning. The lightning here was extremely powerful and ferocious. It was like an angry dragon that kept falling. The surging Saint Chi made everyone take a few steps back. However, they were more shocked by the person who was absorbing and refining the lightning energy. Hiss! Who's this guy? How can he attract the lightning energy in other places? For so many years, the lightning energy in the space has been evenly distributed. No one has ever been able to do this. Who is this person who is cultivating? Is he an expert in the top 10 of the Saint Transformation list? The students were shocked and swallowed a mouthful of saliva. They immediately turned their gazes to the center of the sea of lightning. After understanding the reason for the weakening of the lightning, none of the students chose to leave. Instead, they silently stood guard at the side. They wanted to see clearly which expert was able to do this. After an hour, the lightning became even more ferocious. It was so dense that it turned into liquid. After 2 hours, the violent lightning became restless again. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, a loud and clear sound was heard. The lightning and thunder began to flicker with light. The dazzling and bright light caused the spectators to close their eyes. In the next moment, the lightning slowly disappeared. 9 divine cauldrons appeared with lightning jumping on them. A figure holding a round pill gradually appeared in front of the crowd. However, the figure was surrounded by arcs of light, making it difficult for the spectators to see clearly. That's a supreme grade Thunder Origin pill. Oh my god, a Thunder Origin pill of this grade is worth 10,000 points. In the outer court, Only senior brothers Een Lin and Zien can refine a supreme-grade thunder origin pill. Senior brother Zien is still cultivating in seclusion. Could it be that senior brother Lin Een is here today? Amidst the exclamations, the spectators' gazes instantly became heated as they looked at the figure. However, some people became suspicious and muttered, "That's not right. Senior brother Lin Een and the rest usually cultivate in the sixth space. Why would they be here?" In an instant, dozens of students stared closely at the figure. Buzz! The arcs of light gradually dissipated, and the figure appeared in front of the crowd. However, when they saw the figure's face, they were stunned on the spot. Their faces were filled with shock. They did not recognize the person in front of them. Who is this guy? I've never seen such an unfamiliar face before. Is he in the top 100 of the Saint Transformation list? Frowning slightly, the numerous students were stunned as they revealed doubtful expressions. Lin Yi, who had just successfully refined the Thunder Origin pill, was shocked when he suddenly saw so many people. He could not help but carefully size up the crowd. Wait, this guy seems to be this year's #1 new student. His name is Lin Yi. Lin Yi? You're saying that he's the Lin Yi who led the new students to defeat the older students? Isn't this guy too terrifying? He just entered Cebu Gakuen, but he's already on par with senior brothers Een Lin and Zien. Suddenly, someone recognized Lin Ye's identity. When the crowd heard this, they were all shocked. These few days, Lin Yi was in the limelight in the outer court. Almost everyone was talking about Lin Yi. Originally, the older students were still a little doubtful and did not recognize Lin Ye's strength. Chapter 5:13. Cough, cough. I'll make a move first. Lin Ye's heart skipped a beat when he felt everyone's gaze on him. He put away the lightning essence pill and disappeared in a flash. Hey, don't go. Can you sell that supreme-grade thunder essence pill to us directly? I'm willing to buy it for 20,000 points. Many senior students' faces changed, and they tried to stop Lin Yi. However, Lin Ye's comprehension of the power of thunder was getting stronger and stronger. Furthermore, he was currently in the thunder space, so his speed was extremely fast. Even if those older students were all experts on the Saint Transformation board, they were still unable to catch up to Lin Yi. Why is he running? The asterisk in it, don't run. We're willing to buy the lightning essence pill with 30,000 points. After chasing for a long time, they stopped when Lin Yi entered the sixth space. Many senior students looked at each other helplessly. Why is this guy running? We're not robbing him of his points. Phew, are this year's new disciples really so terrifying? Yeah, with our strength, we can't enter the sixth space to cultivate. He's just a 9 tribulation half-true saint, but he can enter. He's too strong. It seems like he didn't defeat Zhu Mingyong by luck. He's really strong. In my opinion, he's still hiding his strength. Even Zhu Mingyong can't cultivate in the sixth space. After discussing Lin Yi for a while, the senior students left in silence. However, the pressure in their hearts suddenly increased. Sixth space. Seeing that the others didn't chase after him, Lin Yi heaved a sigh of relief. He didn't want to waste too much time. Moreover, the lightning in the fifth space was weakened by him, and it couldn't support him anymore. He had to go to the sixth space. Rumble. The violent purple-gold thunderbolts were like angry dragons that gathered above Lin Ye's head. At the same time, the surrounding lightning crackled and emitted electric arcs. Sensing this, Lin Yi could not help but reveal a shocked expression as he activated the 9 divine cauldrons with all his might. The divine cauldron vibrated and immediately absorbed some of the lightning energy in the space. Rumble. However, the lightning in the sixth space was much more ferocious than the fifth space. Even with the 9 divine cauldrons, lightning still struck Lin Ye's supreme holy armor from time to time. That violent power was like a giant hammer hammering down on Lin Ye's body. The biting cold electric light stimulated every inch of his skin. But Lin Yi felt refreshed. He hurriedly closed his eyes and began to refine the Thunder Essence pill. At the same time, the 9 divine cauldrons continued to spin, refining the lightning and turning it into pure saint energy. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Lightning continued to fall. Lin Yi absorbed the power of the lightning, and his physique gradually became stronger. The speed of refining the Thunder Essence pill had increased by a lot. As time passed, Lin Yi's body grew increasingly powerful. As if he had sensed this, the power contained within those thunderbolts also grew increasingly ferocious. After an hour, Lin Yi successfully refined the second Thunder Essence pill. However, the power of those lightning bolts was so powerful that they caused his body to gradually become numb and painful. Although his physique was constantly strengthening, the speed was not as fast as the lightning. After another hour, Lin Yi refined 2 Thunder Essence pills in one go. Bang! The violent lightning had already turned into 3 different colors: purple, gold, and blue. It split the 9 divine cauldrons apart and created a gap. In the next moment, the 3-colored lightning struck Lin Yi. Puff! Lin Yi's body shook, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. He felt as if his entire body was being torn apart by the lightning. Rumble! Looking up, Lin Yi could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. At this moment, the 6th space was already filled with tricolored thunderbolts. The terrifying thunderclouds gave people a strong sense of oppression. The elders who had been observing Lin Yi through the light screen were shocked. They could not believe their eyes. It's a miracle. The 3-colored lightning of the 6th space is difficult to resist, even for a peak sage. He is not seriously injured. Elder Hong, it seems that this little guy can't hold on any longer. When should we strike? No need. I feel that this little guy still has some tricks up his sleeve. Let's wait and see. In the 6th space. Bang, bang, bang. The 3-colored lightning was like a raging dragon. It roared and attacked Lin Yi. Even with the protection of the 9 divine cauldrons, the lightning still exploded with a strong force and created a gap. In the next moment, the remaining lightning struck Lin Yi's body, sending him flying backwards. His meridians were burning with pain. Hiss! The lightning here is so strong. Sucking in a breath of cold air, Lin Yi gave a light cry, and the divine dragon 9 transformations erupted. Roar! A dragon's roar sounded out. Lin Yi's body immediately rose with a strong dragon's might, as if he was a human-shaped dragon. Crackle! Bam! Lightning continued to fall. However, under the effect of the Annihilation Divine Dragon Transformation, those lightning bolts were no longer able to harm Lin Yi. Even the numb feeling had disappeared. Taking a deep breath, Lin Yi was just about to continue refining the Thunder Origin pill when a strange feeling suddenly arose in his heart. Plop! Plop! Lin Yi's heart was beating powerfully. His entire body was emitting a faint light. What's going on? Sensing this, Lin Yi immediately panicked. After sizing up his body and not noticing anything unusual, he suddenly raised his head and looked around. Buzz! A special ray of light gradually gathered and appeared in front of Lin Yi, gradually forming an arc of light. Seeing this scene, Lin Yi could not help but be stunned, but his entire body started to heat up, his heartbeat quickened, and his breathing quickened, as if there was something behind the arc of light that was luring him. What is going on? Could it be that this is the entrance to the 7th level? But the elders once said that we cannot enter the 7th level of space. No, there is definitely something related to me inside. I have to go in. With a cold look in his eyes, Lin Yi immediately made up his mind. With a wave of his hands, the 9 divine cauldrons gathered together, and under Lin Yi's control, they suddenly crashed into the arc of light. In the next moment, Lin Yi rushed forward and directly entered the arc of light. Boom! Boom! As soon as he rushed into the arc of light, Lin Yi felt as if his entire body was wrapped in countless bolts of lightning. Strong electric currents continuously flowed through his meridians, causing his entire body to tremble. Swoosh! Almost at the moment when Lin Yi's figure disappeared into the arc of light, several elders broke through space and suddenly appeared in the 6th level of space. No! However, as soon as they arrived, the arc of light dissipated, and Lin Ye's figure completely disappeared. Hiss! How is this possible? How did that guy enter the 7th level of space? Chapter 514. Buzz. As soon as he entered the 7th layer space, the lightning in Lin Ye's body suddenly became fierce and violent, wreaking havoc in Lin Ye's meridians. Intense electric currents surged, stimulating Lin Ye's meridians. Even though Lin Ye's physique was extremely strong, he could not help but howl in pain. Boom, boom, boom. Almost in an instant, the Divine Dragon 9 transformations was activated. From the first transformation to the Annihilation Divine Dragon transformation, it evolved on its own. In this way, the power contained within the lightning was suddenly absorbed by the Divine Dragon 9 transformations. As the violent energy was absorbed, Lin Yi immediately let out a long sigh of relief, feeling much better. When he raised his head to take a look of shock appeared on his face as he stood there in a daze. In front of Lin Yi, the lightning actually had several different colors. The 7 colors were extremely dazzling. However, the power contained within them caused one's heart to tremble. What shocked Lin Yi even more was that the rainbow-colored lightning gathered in the air and condensed into the shape of a huge dragon. The enormous dragon was several hundred feet long. It had a towering horn on its head, and lightning crackled all over its body. Why do I feel that this dragon looks so familiar? Frowning slightly, the shock in Lin Ye's heart gradually dissipated, and a sense of familiarity arose spontaneously. At the same time, the huge dragon seemed to have come to life. Its head was slightly tilted outwards, and its eyes, which were completely formed by lightning, flickered with a faint light as it stared fixedly at Lin Yi. Lin Yi was startled by the dragon's actions. He couldn't help but stagger back a few steps, swallowing a mouthful of saliva. This giant dragon was several hundred feet long. If it really had a life of its own, it would have surpassed the realm of the great sage. Boom, boom, boom. Being stared at by the huge dragon, Lin Ye's meridians burned as the Divine Dragon 9 transformations circulated on their own. Violent power and the power of the sacred dragon erupted at the same time, causing Lin Ye's aura to soar. Buzz. It was as if there was a pull between the auras. Following the changes in the Divine Dragon 9 transformations, the lightning on the huge dragon's body seemed to have come to life, and the frequency of its movements became faster and faster. Divine Dragon 9 transformations. No, could it be that this Divine Dragon is the Divine Dragon that gave me the cultivation technique in the underground palace? Lin Yi suddenly thought of the mystical dragon in the underground palace. At this moment, he finally understood why he felt a sense of familiarity. I never thought that there would be news of the Divine Dragon 9 transformations here. Realizing this, Lin Yi's entire body relaxed. This lightning dragon was related to the Divine Dragon 9 transformations, so it would definitely not harm him. On the contrary, it would bring him a great opportunity, so he naturally would not be nervous anymore. Roar! Suddenly, the cry of a dragon could be heard as the thunderous dragon sprang forward with its body a few hundred zhang long in Lin Ye's direction. Seeing such an impactful scene, Lin Yi could not help but exclaim and close his eyes. With a twist of his body, Lin Yi was shocked to discover that his body was actually bound by an invisible force. Raising his head, he saw that the roaring dragon was flickering with lightning. It was gradually enlarging and fiercely smashing into his body. Previous chapter, next chapter, boom. The Divine Dragon 9 transformations circulated, and in the next moment, countless bolts of lightning suddenly poured into Lin Ye's body, being absorbed by his skin, physique, and meridians. Even his blood had absorbed a lot of the power of lightning. Crackle, crackle. In a split second, Lin Yi was like a man made of lightning, his entire body flickering with lightning. The power of the Divine Dragon 9 transformations also gradually became perfect. The power of thunder continued to pour into Lin Ye's body as a violent energy crazily swam through his body, wreaking havoc everywhere. Lin Yi clenched his teeth and persevered, allowing the lightning to wander about, only speeding up the circulation of the divine dragon 9 transformations. A moment later, even though Lin Ye's mind could still hold on, his body could not take it anymore. His eyes went black, and he fainted. Although his body was unconscious, the power of thunder was still crazily tempering his meridians and nurturing his physique. The divine dragon 9 transformations was like a silkworm shedding its skin, absorbing the power of thunder to its heart's content. A thunderous dragon slowly condensed in Lin Ye's sea of consciousness. While Lin Yi was cultivating, a few elders were anxiously waiting in the 6th space. The 7th space was especially special. Even if the palace master personally came, she would not be able to enter, much less pry into the existence inside. Only an elder from hundreds of years ago was able to enter the 7th space. After that, he left an order that no one was allowed to approach the 7th space. But they did not expect that this time, the 7th space would appear on its own while Lin Yi was cultivating. Buzz. Space continued to shatter as more than 10 figures appeared. They were the elders of the various regions. Murong Ning and Tian Yong were among them. What's going on? Someone entered the 7th space again? Murong Ning looked surprised. What's going on with this year's competition? Forget about the 2 divine sense saints. The 7th level of the heavenly lightning realm is something even heavenly saints cannot enter. How did a student enter? We're not sure. The heavenly lightning realm elders sighed and said, initially, we just wanted to see how long he could endure in the 6th space. Who would have thought that the entrance would suddenly appear and pull him in? Did you report this to the Grand Elder? Did Elder Bai and the others come? The corners of Murong Ning and the others' mouths twitched. They already went. Sigh, this new student is merely a 9th tribulation half-true saint. How did he cause such a big commotion? Wait a minute. 9th tribulation half-true saint realm new student? Murong Ning's eyebrows rose when he heard these words. He stared fixedly at the heavenly lightning realm elders. The other elders turned to look at Murong Ning and asked suspiciously, Elder Murong, do you know that new student? Take a look, is it him? As he spoke, Murong Ning waved his right hand and Lin Ye's face quietly appeared in the air. Yes, it's him. Seeing Lin Yi, the heavenly lightning realm elders' faces changed as they exclaimed, Elder Murong, could it be this little guy? The elders swallowed a mouthful of saliva as they thought of a possibility. Tian Yong, Murong Ning, and the other elders who had seen Lin Ye's strength were equally shocked. Phew, this kid's talent is extremely high and rarely seen in 10,000 years. We must report this to the Venerable Lord. But the Venerable Lord just entered death's seclusion a year ago. Will this disturb him? Someone hesitated. No, this kind of talent must be reported to the Venerable Lord. His future training will be decided by the Venerable Lord. All right. When Chun Yu and the others return, we will go to the inner courtyard to meet the Venerable Lord. No need. Just as everyone finished their discussion, a majestic voice entered everyone's ears like a gust of wind. The Venerable Lord has ordered that no one is to interfere with his choice and his cultivation path. Moreover, none of you are allowed to give him any special help. All of you can leave. This is his opportunity, and there is no danger. Murong Ning, Tian Yong, and the other elders looked at each other with shock written all over their faces. Chapter 5:15. Rumble, rumble. The muffled sound of thunder continued to ring, but it gradually weakened. The 7th space was originally filled with rainbow-colored thunderbolts and a giant dragon. However, there was nothing there now. It was empty. Only Lin Ye's body was still flickering with lightning. Roar. Suddenly, a loud dragon roar sounded, and the divine dragon 9 transformations circulated on its own. Lin Ye's body transformed into a huge dragon shadow, releasing lightning. Huff, huff, huff. Boom. Lin Ye's pores contracted, and every time he breathed, there was a thunderous sound, shocking people. The power contained in it was like a clap of thunder. It was obvious that Lin Ye's physique had improved again after this round of cultivation. After a while, the aura in Lin Ye's body gradually dissipated and his eyes slowly opened. 2 streaks of lightning shot out from his eyes. Boom! He suddenly punched out, and a dragon roar sounded. The 7-colored lightning suddenly exploded, and the space in front of him was blasted apart. Hiss! What a strong power! Seeing this scene, Lin Yi could not help but exclaim. Clenching his fists, he felt the power in his body and became excited. After this sudden cultivation, Lin Ye's cultivation had completely stabilized at the peak of the 9 Tribulation half-true Saint Realm, and he could step into the Saint Realm at any time. The Annihilation Divine Dragon transformation had improved by a lot. Lin Yi was curious about the cultivation progress of the Divine Dragon 9 transformations. In the beginning, Lin Yi thought that after the Annihilation Divine Dragon transformation was completed, it would be an invincible Divine Dragon transformation. He did not expect that the Annihilation Divine Dragon transformation could be improved again. Huff! This time, it was the power of lightning that improved the Annihilation Divine Dragon transformation. I wonder if the other elemental powers can improve the power of the Annihilation Divine Dragon transformation again. After feeling the changes in his body, Lin Yi looked around and suddenly revealed a shocked expression. Hiss! I actually absorbed all the thunderbolts during my cultivation this time. The corner of Lin Ye's mouth twitched, and his face was filled with disbelief. He had sensed that even the great sage would find it difficult to withstand the lightning. Now that he had finished cultivating, the lightning in the 7th space had all disappeared, which surprised him. Something's wrong. Those lightning bolts didn't completely dissipate. They just lost their core energy and turned into liquid. Suddenly, Lin Yi felt that the aura in the space was much thicker than before. I've got it. The lightning aura here is so dense. The speed of refining the Thunder Essence Pill will definitely be faster. The corners of Lin Ye's mouth curled up slightly, and he no longer hesitated. With a flip of his hands, he began to refine the Thunder Essence Pill. Boom, boom, boom. Following Lin Ye's circulation, the previously still quiet space immediately caused a huge fluctuation. Countless lightning bolts converged in Lin Ye's direction. After the Nirvana Divine Dragon transformation improved, Lin Ye's physique also strengthened. His immunity to lightning increased. This way, his speed of absorbing lightning and refining the Thunder Essence Pill suddenly accelerated. In less than an instance's time, a Thunder Essence Pill was successfully condensed. Compared to before, the speed was who knows how many times faster. 2 hours later, 24 Thunder Essence Pills were refined. They were all superior-grade Thunder Essence Pills. The speed of refining Thunder Essence Pills in the 7th space is indeed fast. Lin Yi was pleasantly surprised. A superior-grade Thunder Essence Pill could be exchanged for 10,000 points. To be able to refine 24 superior-grade Thunder Essence Pills in 2 hours, there were 12 hours in a day. In other words, Lin Yi could refine 288 pills in a day, which was 88 million points. No wonder they said that the Heavenly Thunder Realm is the most profitable place. It's indeed amazing. If I run out of points one day, I'll come here to refine Thunder Essence Pills. One day is 88 million points, too profitable. Lin Yi was overjoyed. He already made up his mind to let others come to the Heavenly Thunder Realm in the future to earn more points. However, Lin Yi forgot that ordinary people could only refine the power of lightning in the first 5 spaces. It would take at least 2 hours to refine Thunder Essence Pills, and they might not even be able to refine superior-grade Thunder Essence Pills. Although the benefits were great, it could not reach Lin Ye's terrifying realm. After the ecstasy, the already poor Lin Yi started refining Thunder Essence Pills wholeheartedly. Violent lightning gathered crazily. The entire seventh space was filled with lightning once again. 2 hours, for hours. A day's time passed very quickly. A full 24 hours, 288 Thunder Essence pills were successfully refined. Adding the ones that Lin Yi refined previously, it happened to be 290 pills. Converted to points, it was as much as 9 million. With so many points, it was enough to cover Lin Yi and the others' expenses for a month. It could even be provided to the Sky Rapier sect. After stretching comfortably, Lin Yi put away the Thunder Essence pills, stood up, and looked around. He saw that the lightning dragon had completely dissipated. Moreover, after the upgrade of the Nirvana Divine Dragon transformation, the power of lightning could no longer cause any harm to Lin Yi. Not only that, the lightning body refining in the Heavenly Thunder realm was also no longer effective on Lin Yi. Therefore, the attraction of the Heavenly Thunder realm to Lin Yi had completely disappeared. After putting away the Thunder Essence pills, Lin Yi happily exited the seventh space. Buzz! With a flash of light, Lin Yi's body had already returned to the sixth space. Rumble! Almost at the same time that Lin Yi appeared, dozens of tricolored lightning fell at the same time, striking towards Lin Yi's head. Not good! Watch out! Cries of alarm sounded one after another. Hearing these voices, Lin Yi couldn't help but feel surprised. When he looked up, he was stunned. He even forgot about the lightning above his head. He saw dozens of figures floating in the distance, looking at him with a horrified expression. Elder Murong is also here? But why does he look at me with a strange gaze? Rubbing his nose, Lin Yi was puzzled. Dozens of lightning bolts fell on his head. Rumble! The violent lightning exploded, and when it landed on Lin Yi's body, it turned into a wisp of green smoke and dissipated. Ga? How could this be? Hiss! Seeing this scene, many elders widened their eyes as they looked at Lin Yi in shock. They did not dare to believe that Lin Yi actually did not suffer any injuries under the attack of the Berserk Thunder. One had to know that even the great sage couldn't withstand the lightning of the sixth space. Lin Yi was just a nine-tribulation half-true saint, but he was unharmed. It was amazing. Are you all dumbfounded? Seeing the shocked expression on the elders' faces, Lin Yi frowned. He couldn't understand why they were looking at him like that. Looking around, Lin Yi didn't find anything strange. He blinked his eyes and asked in surprise, Elder Murong, why are you all guarding here? Gulp! Swallowing a mouthful of saliva, the elders couldn't help but laugh bitterly. They finally understood why Lin Yi was valued by the Reverend as soon as he entered the academy. Phew, isn't it because we were waiting for you? Murong Ning reacted quickly and said with a bitter smile, Do you know that ever since the seventh space was established, only one person in the entire Cebu Gakuen can enter? Chapter 516. Only one person can go in. Lin Yi raised an eyebrow and said softly, That can't be right. The lightning inside isn't very strong. With your strength, you should be able to enter. Although the lightning in the seventh level was strong, it was not much stronger than the lightning in the sixth level. If these elders could ignore the lightning in the sixth level, there was no reason for them not to be able to enter. We have to be able to enter first. Elder Murong sighed. Back then, more than 100 of us tried to enter the seventh level together. We only heard a dragon's roar and fainted. Some of the weaker elders even injured their meridians and did not make any progress in 50 years. When they heard this, many elders let out a long sigh. The gazes with which they looked at Lin Yi became increasingly strange. So scary? Lin Yi's mouth twitched as he thought of the lightning dragon. Indeed, although the lightning dragon did not cause him any harm, it gave him a lot of pressure. If the lightning dragon's power exploded, Lin Yi was not confident that he could withstand it. All right. Murong Ning suddenly waved his hand and said, You little guy, get lost. Because of you, so many of us are guarding here and we can't do anything. Since you're out, get lost. Cough, cough. Raising an eyebrow, Lin Yi glanced at Murong Ning strangely. his eyes filled with curiosity. Normally, when he showed such talent, shouldn't these elders be very friendly to him? Why did Murong Ning and the rest not care about him? What are you coughing about? Murong Ning glared at Lin Yi and said snappily, "You little brat, you really don't let people have peace of mind. Not only did you cause a riot in the heart-refining abyss, you also used up so much lightning in the sky thunder realm. Leave quickly, don't waste our time." Twitching his mouth, Lin Yi said helplessly, "Are the elders in charge of the sky thunder realm all here?" "That's right." The elder who had previously explained the heavenly thunder realm to Lin Yi said, "What's the matter? Is there anything else you need from us?" Lin Yi grinned and said, "Well, can you help me exchange my points first? You're all here. If I leave later, no one will help me exchange points." Hearing this, the elders' expressions changed as they looked at Lin Yi. "You bastard, what time is it now? You're actually still concerned about exchanging points? The Heavenly Thunder Realm is almost unable to operate because of you. How many Thunder Essence pills do you want?" The elder asked helplessly. "Not much." Lin Yi grinned and said, "Only 290 Thunder Yuan Dan, 290 Thunder Essence pills." "Oh, I'll change it for you right away." An elder raised his hand and was about to give Lin Yi points when he realized something was wrong. He frowned and stared at Lin Yi. "Wait a minute. How many Thunder Yuan pills do you want?" 290 pills. Lin Yi reached his hand out. In an instant, Thunder Yuan Dan flickering with lightning arcs appeared and floated beside Lin Yi. Crackle, crackle. Lightning arcs flickered, releasing a berserk aura. The elders were shocked. The corners of their mouths twitched nonstop. The way they looked at Lin Yi was like they were looking at a ghost. How long had it been? Merely a day's time. Even people in the Great Sage Realm could only refine 20 Thunder Yuan Dan at most. Lin Yi, on the other hand, managed to refine 290 pills, which was more than 10 times that of others. This kind of gap was seriously too great. Gulp. Swallowing a mouthful of saliva, the elder took back the Thunder Yuan Dan, sensed it carefully, and said in a deep voice, 290 superior grade, Thunder Yuan Dan, worth 9 million points. What? Supreme grade, Thunder Yuan Dan? Hearing that, the rest of the elders nearly fainted. The successive surprises were like tidewater, constantly impacting their nerves. This little guy, the corners of his mouth twitched a little. That elder transferred 9 million points to Lin Yi in one breath and said crossly, "Hurry up and leave. Heavenly Thunder Realm here still needs to be repaired." "All right, elders, you all get busy." With a huge amount of points in hand, Lin Yi could not be bothered to stay here either. He immediately waved his hand and left. After going out, you can go to the heart-refining abyss to take a look when you have time. An elder is going to explain the application of divine sense power today. Seeing that Lin Yi was about to leave, Murong Ning suddenly reminded him. Hearing that, a warm current flowed across Lin Yi's heart. No matter what, Murong Ning was still very good to him. He bowed once more and left. Looking at Lin Yi's departing back view, Murong Ning and the rest of the elders felt their livers ache very much. This brat really messed up the entire Heavenly Thunder Realm. This is really a talented little guy, will always make things interesting. A few of the elders showed a helpless look, but they were full of hope for Lin Yi. Cebu Gakuin's future all depended on the new students. Back in the courtyard, Sun Wuyu was still cultivating. Silent Soul was sitting at the table, calculating something. "Young master, you're finally back." Seeing Lin Yi, Silent Soul was so excited that he directly pounced over. After the hard work of Shangwan Yunqi, Muyi, and Dao Feiyang, the Heavenly Sword Sect's exchange system was more or less established. Although the holy grade items that could be exchanged were not very powerful, there were still quite a few. It caused many students to exclaim, and each of them worked hard to earn points. After listening to Silent Soul's report, Lin Yi nodded slightly, completely relieved of the Heavenly Sword Sect in his heart. He had to admit that Shangwan Yunqi and the others' abilities were really good. A force of thousands of people was actually managed in a few days by them in an orderly manner. However, they had already spent most of their points. After pondering for a moment, Lin Yu decided not to treat Shangguan Yunqi and the others unfairly. He gave Silent Soul 1,000,000 points to operate the Heavenly Sword sect. Right, where did Brother Shangguan and the others go? In the past few days, Shangguan Yunqi and the others had practically treated this place as the Heavenly Sword sect's base camp. Therefore, seeing that they were not here, Lin Yu was quite curious. I heard that there was an elder's lecture in the heart-refining abyss today. Brother Shangguan and the others all went. Silent Soul replied, They went too. Touching his nose, Lin Yi said in a deep voice, Silent Soul, look after the house. I'll also go to the heart-refining abyss. Also, glancing at Sun Wuyu, who was still cultivating, Lin Yi waved his hand and threw out many holy grade pills. You and Sun Wuyu, don't neglect your personal matters and delay your cultivation. Although the Heavenly Sword sect is important, your strength and ability to protect yourself in the future is what I'm most worried about. Nodding slightly, Lin Yi turned around and left the courtyard under Silent Soul's touched gaze, rushing towards the heart-refining abyss. Chapter 517. It was past noon, and the heart-refining abyss's passage opened. From time to time, there would be figures rushing into the heart-refining abyss. As soon as he stepped into the heart-refining abyss, Lin Ye's body suddenly stiffened. An invisible force of divine sense pierced into Lin Ye's mind like a needle. Buzz! With a slight thought, the invisible force of divine sense was suddenly shattered. Lin Yi opened his eyes and woke up. This time, the divine sense attacks in the heart-refining abyss were not even 1/5 of the ones during the assessment. This made Lin Yi extremely surprised. However, although the divine sense attacks were weaker, the attacks were more continuous than before, continuously landing on Lin Ye's body. With a light exhale, the 3,000 heavenly Daos revolved. Divine sense immediately appeared around Lin Ye's body, blocking the divine sense attacks. The divine sense attacks were like giant hammers, constantly hammering Lin Ye's divine sense. After walking for a while, Lin Yi suddenly noticed that not far away, there were thousands of people sitting cross-legged. Each of them was focused and very serious. Shangguan Yunqi, Qin Yue, and the others were also among them. Looking up, at the front of the crowd, there was a middle-aged man sitting. His face was gentle, like a spring breeze. That's the teacher teaching. Raising his eyebrows, Lin Yu was about to go forward when he suddenly noticed that something was happening among the people listening to the lecture. He saw Shangguan Yunqi, Qin Yue, and some seniors standing up, as if they were arguing about something. Seeing this scene, Lin Ye's eyes turned cold, and his heart was piercingly cold. He immediately rushed over. How dare you bully us freshmen? It was as if he was tired of living and wanted to hang himself. Elder, what you said earlier, why don't we test it out with these freshmen? That's right. I heard that the freshmen this year are all heaven-defying talents. We really want to see it for ourselves. A few seniors revealed disdainful smiles as they glanced at Shangguan Yunqi and the others. They had already inquired about the news and knew that Lin Yi did not appear. Therefore, they dared to be so arrogant. The elder's expression didn't change. He glanced at Shangguan Yunqi and the others, but didn't say anything. As an elder, there was no need for him to get involved in the grudges and disputes between students. If there was no competition, how could he stimulate the students to increase their strength? You, Shangguan Yunqi, Mu Yi, and the others were stunned. They looked at the elder in confusion. When they realized that the elder had stopped talking, their mouths couldn't help but twitch. They already understood that the elder didn't care anymore. Rolling their eyes, Shangguan Yunqi and the others looked at the senior students. They saw that the older students were also looking at them in surprise. It was very obvious that the ones who started the dispute this time were only a few seniors, and not many people participated. Shangguan Yunqi heaved a sigh of relief when he realized this. He immediately stood up and coldly asked, "How do we spar?" Of course, it's an actual combat practice. The few old women laughed out loud. Elder, as you said just now, the spiritual sense attack cannot be restricted to form, nor can it be too complicated. Only by releasing the power as a whole can it explode with great power. Junior brothers, let's practice now. Ha. Since it's a spar, then there must be a prize. After interacting with Lin Yi for a long time, Shangguan Yunqi didn't want to do anything that didn't benefit him. The corners of his mouth curled up as he asked, If you win, then we won't compete with you for the cultivation seat in the heart-refining abyss today. After hesitating for a moment, the few seniors sneered. They didn't believe that Shangguan Yunqi and the others could win. Elder, please bear witness. After the agreement was made, the few seniors bowed to the elder together. Well, since both of you have decided, this old man will bear witness for you. The elder smiled slightly and stopped teaching. He became the witness for Shangguan Yunqi and the others. For a time, everyone in the field stared at Shangguan Yunqi and the others. The freshmen cheered for Shangguan Yunqi and the others. Best of 5. The corners of the senior's mouth curled up. A figure walked out and pointed at Muyi. You come out, I want to spar with you. You're courting death. Muyi's complexion turned cold. Just as he stood up, he didn't even have time to launch a divine sense attack. Suddenly, his body trembled, and he felt as if a giant boulder had smashed into his head. There was a buzzing sound, and it was extremely uncomfortable. With a loud shout, Muyi's entire body crashed to the ground. Shangguan Yunqi and the others' faces changed dramatically. They quickly helped Muyi up, but he had already fainted. Despicable. Shameless. Seeing this scene, the pupils of the freshmen shrank, and they all cursed out loud. Just now, when Muyi got up, the person launched a strong divine sense attack. In addition, they were in the heart-refining abyss and had to withstand the divine sense attack. Muyi couldn't withstand it and fainted. Hey, when I challenged him, the spar had already begun. He couldn't withstand it, and now you're blaming me? The person sneered and was particularly shameless. For a time, even some of the seniors frowned, their hearts filled with disdain. Enough. Shangguan Yunqi was furious. He immediately stood up and glared at the 5 seniors. In front of their chests, there was a maple leaf symbol. You're members of the maple forest? Shangguan Yunqi growled. Since you want to fight, our Sky Rapier sect will never back down. The maple forest was one of the strongest forces in the outer court. It was as famous as the Cloud Mountain. You come out. Shangguan Yunqi clenched his fists and glared at the leader of the 5. Hey, our brother Xiaowu is not someone that anyone can challenge. However, before that person could take a step forward, another figure walked out. I'm enough to deal with you. The person called Brother Xiaowu carefully looked at Shangguan Yunqi and suddenly patted his shoulder. He didn't care about Shangguan Yunqi at all. Damn it. Seeing this, the freshmen were furious. Brother Shangguan, you must defeat them. Slap their faces. Yeah, they're really too despicable. Shangguan Yunqi's eyes were burning with anger as he glared at that person. Let's do it. That person flipped his hands. In an instant, a violent divine sense like a giant sword suddenly pierced toward Shangguan Yunqi. Buzz. Shangguan Yunqi closed his eyes. The divine sense in his body was like an erupting volcano, crazily gushing out. Rumble. The violent divine sense swept out, and in an instant, the giant sword formed by that person's divine sense shattered. Crack. Crack. Poof. In the crisp sound, that person felt a sharp pain in his head. It was as if there were countless sharp thorns piercing his head. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood and staggered back. Damn it. Brother Xiaowu's face changed slightly, and he glared at Shangguan Yunqi. Trash. Shangguan Yunqi sneered and said, You want to bully us freshmen? You're still far from it. Bastard. Brother Xiaowu gritted his teeth and suddenly pointed at Qingwei. Miss, I want to challenge you. Chapter 518. Many of the new students looked at Brother Xiaowu with strange gazes. They were clear that although Qingwei was very quiet, her strength was even more terrifying than Shangguan Yunqi's. The only one who could firmly suppress her was Lin Yi alone. Unfortunately, Qing Yue would not make a move normally, leaving everything to Shangwan Yunqi and the rest to resolve. At this moment, Brother Xiaowu took the initiative to provoke Qing Yue, making many of the new students heave a sigh of relief. With Qing Yue making a move, the matter here should be resolved. However, those senior students looked at Brother Xiaowu with eyes full of disdain. Peng Wu, this brat, is someone on the transforming saint board. He actually took the initiative to challenge a junior sister. Really too shameless. That's right. Why didn't I see that he was so shameless before? Hearing those ridiculing words, Peng Wu's face turned cold and he roared, "All of you shut up. That girl, if you still don't come up, then it'll be considered as you forfeit." As his voice fell, the scene immediately fell silent. Qing Yue slowly raised her head, her expression unchanged. She looked at Peng Wu as if she was looking at a fool. Taking a step forward, Qing Yue said indifferently, "Do it." Seeing this, Peng Wu frowned slightly and could not help but feel suspicious in his heart. Rolling his eyes, Peng Wu shouted in a low voice. A powerful divine sense fell from the sky and smashed towards Qing Yue. Buzz. However, the moment that earth-shattering divine sense smashed onto Qing Yue's body, it was like a stone falling into an abyss. It did not even cause the slightest ripple and dissipated without a trace. What's going on? Seeing this scene, Peng Wu immediately opened his eyes wide and shook his head violently, not daring to believe his eyes. However, before Peng Wu could take a closer look, a surge of divine sense suddenly burst out and slammed into his head. Boom! In an instant, Peng Wu felt as if his entire head was hit by a piece of wood. He was dizzy and could not even see the things in front of him clearly. The powerful force even caused Peng Wu to retreat several steps. His legs went weak, and he almost knelt on the ground. Hiss! Oh my God, that girl looks so young and is still a freshman. She actually defeated a genius on the transforming saint board? Gulp! It can't be. Are all the freshmen this year so monstrous? He just entered the academy, but he already has the strength to match the holy rankings? Gasps rang out incessantly. Many senior students looked at Qing Yue with horrified gazes. They couldn't believe that a girl who looked so gentle and quiet could actually explode with such strength. You lost. Qing Yu's expression was indifferent. She didn't even look at Peng Wu as she turned and walked back into the crowd. From start to end, Qing Yue did not even glance at Peng Wu once. You, puff. When he noticed this, Peng Wu's rage soared to the sky, and he couldn't help but spit out another mouthful of blood. Brother Wu. Inside the building, the four seniors hurriedly helped Peng Wu up and began to massage his back. Ha ha! Shangwan Yunqi's group burst into laughter as they looked at Peng Wu's group with interest. Shangwan Yunqi sneered. There are still 2 matches left. Do you still want to continue? Hearing this, the faces of Peng Wu and the others turned unpleasant. The elder sized up Shangwan Yunqi and the others, his eyes filled with curiosity. He was very surprised that a few freshmen could actually defeat the seniors. They were truly gifted, especially Qing Yue, who hid her strength so well that even he didn't notice Qing Yue's strength before she attacked. Yes, of course, we still want to continue. Peng Wu gritted his teeth and waved his hand, indicating for the other 2 to come forward. Boom! The 2 of them looked solemn. They knew that they couldn't lose. Immediately, they unleashed all their strength and glared at Shangwan Yunqi's group. Both Dao Feiyang and Yin Shihao frowned as they felt the surging divine consciousness attack. Looking at each other, the 2 of them couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. They could feel that their divine senses were not as strong as the other 2. They hesitated, not knowing if they should attack. Noticing the hesitation of Dao Feiyang and Yin Shihao, Shangwan Yunqi started to panic. Apart from Shangwan Yunqi and Muyi, Dao Feiyang and Yin Shihao were the strongest. If they were no match for them, even if they were replaced, they would lose without a doubt. At that moment, the rest of the freshmen also realized this, and their faces turned solemn. They didn't want to lose, not because they would lose a good position to cultivate, but because they didn't want to be looked down upon by the seniors. Humph attack. The two of them slowly walked toward Dao, Feiyong, and Yin Shihao, and gradually revealed hideous smiles. The surging divine sense was like a giant mountain, pressing down on the hearts of Dao, Feiyong, and Yin Shihao, and the rest of the crowd. Interesting. How dare you bully my people? Suddenly, a cold voice could be heard, and a figure landed in front of the crowd like a bolt of lightning. Not far away, the elder frowned and stared at the figure. This voice, hearing the familiar voice, Shangguan Yunqi, Dao Feiyong, and the rest were stunned, and their faces were filled with joy. Ha ha ha! Senior brother Lin is here. Senior brother Lin is finally here. The freshmen were overjoyed and cheered. The seniors were shocked, especially Peng Wu and the other four. They couldn't help but take a few steps back. Lin Yi was the person who defeated Du Yuetian and Zhu Mingyou. His strength was definitely not something they could compare with. As the smoke and dust gradually dispersed, Lin Ye's figure appeared. In an instant, the seniors couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Lin Ye's eyes were cold as he stared at Peng Wu and the rest. He said coldly, "What? Do you want to fight with us?" "We're not fighting. We're just learning from each other." Peng Wu swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and he couldn't help but feel scared. Learning from each other? Lin Yi raised his eyebrows. Shangguan Yunqi quickly stepped forward and told Lin Yi what had happened. "I see." Nodding slightly, Lin Yi looked at Peng Wu and the rest and said with a smile, "All right, let's learn from each other. How about this? I won't bully you. The five of you will attack me together. If you can withstand my attack, we'll consider it our loss." Hearing this, Peng Wu and the rest looked at each other, and they were even more terrified. "Let's do it." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Yi didn't even give him time to think. With a slight movement of his mind, he activated the 10,000 elephant scripture. His divine sense, as powerful as a mountain, suddenly turned into a giant tiger. With a roar, it pounced towards Peng Wu and the others like a ferocious tiger descending from a mountain. "Oh no!" Feeling the strong power, Peng Wu and the rest exclaimed. Each of them unleashed their strongest power and gathered their divine thought to protect their heads. Roar! Chapter 519. Roar! Whistling sounds echoed in the air. His divine sense was as sharp as a tiger's claw, slamming into Peng Wu and the other four's sea of consciousness. Boom! Like a thunderbolt, Peng Wu and the other four felt their heads tremble and their eyes rolled back as they fainted. Plop! Plop! Crisp sounds echoed in the air as Peng Wu and the other four fell to the ground, twitching uncontrollably. Heavens! How can Lin Ye's divine sense be so strong? Fighting 1 against 5, he actually managed to knock them all out in an instant. Is he a divine sense saint expert? If he really is a divine sense saint expert, then it's not hard to explain how he could defeat Zhu Mingyou and the others with his 9th tribulation half-true saint cultivation. After all, a divine sense saint expert is invincible in the same realm. Gasps sounded in the air as everyone who saw this scene was shocked beyond words, and they began to doubt Lin Ye's strength. It was extremely difficult for divine sense to reach the saint realm. Although each of them was a mid-stage saint expert, and some were even late-stage saint experts, their divine sense was far from reaching the saint realm. Ignoring the crowd, Lin Yi glanced at the unconscious Peng Wu and the other four, and shrugged his shoulders helplessly. Fainted just like that? Really weak. Shangguan Yunqi and the others revealed a bitter smile as they looked at the elder. At this time, it was still the elder's lecture time, and they had knocked people out. It was too abrupt, and they did not give the elder any face. Not bad, little guy. The elder laughed. You're also a new disciple. That's right. Lin Yi turned around to look at the elder, and his brows were slightly furrowed, and his heart was filled with doubt. At first, Lin Yi thought that the elder was like the previous elder, deliberately supporting the older disciples to find trouble with the new disciples. But now, this elder's reaction did not seem like it. "Young man, you're not bad." The elder nodded slightly, and the more he looked at Lin Yi, the more satisfied he was. Seeing this, Lin Yi saluted and sat down beside Shangwan Yunqi and the others. Looking down, he saw the unconscious Muyi and was shocked. "Muyi, he is? Muyi's divine sense has been injured. I'm afraid he won't be able to wake up for a short period of time." Shangwan Yunqi had a helpless look on his face. After all, they didn't have any understanding of divine sense, so they were unable to treat Muyi. "It's fine." Not far away, the elder suddenly waved his hand. In an instant, a gentle wind rippled and blew past everyone. Buzz, like a spring breeze, a fluctuation swept past. Soon, the unconscious Muyi, Peng Wu, and the others' eyebrows twitched, and their fingers began to move. Ugh! With a soft groan, Muyi, Peng Wu, and the others awoke. They quickly patted their bodies, and after discovering that they weren't injured, they let out a long sigh of relief. "Students, please sit down and continue listening to the lecture." A gentle voice sounded. The elder was still explaining how to maximize the power of a divine sense attack. At first, Lin Yi just listened casually, but as time passed, Lin Yi became more and more fascinated. If Chun Daoxuan's explanation was to let people have a deeper understanding of spiritual force and improve their spiritual force, then this elder's explanation was to let people use their spiritual force better. However, this elder's philosophy was different from Chun Daoxuan's. Chun Daoxuan's cultivation method was to transform spiritual force into a tangible form and display a specific effect. For example, if he transformed into a bear, he would have a strong defensive power. If he transformed into a bird, he would be extremely agile. If he transformed into a beast, he would have a violent attack. This elder was completely different. His philosophy was to transform all spiritual force into a single entity. Only then could all the power contained within spiritual force erupt. It had to be said that this elder's understanding of spiritual force was particularly profound. Everyone was listening very seriously. Even if his understanding was different from Chun Daoxian and Lin Yi's, Lin Yi was still fascinated. After an hour, the lecture ended. The elder's voice gradually faded away, but no one was willing to stand up. Every student was lost in thought, recalling the elder's words. Even Lin Yi was savoring the aftertaste. He was constantly thinking about the various ways to use spiritual force and the various possibilities. Suddenly, Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. He looked up and saw the elder smiling and waving at him. That's not right. No matter how fascinating the lecture is, it's impossible for all of us to be immersed in it. This must be his divine ability. Could it be that he deliberately wanted to communicate with me? Rolling his eyes, Lin Yi looked around and saw Shangwan Yunqi, Muyi, and the rest, including Qingwei, were all immersed in the lecture. He immediately understood. Slowly getting up, Lin Yi walked in front of the elder and bowed respectfully. "Student Lin Yi greets the elder. May I know why the elder is looking for me?" "Hee, you little guy, you're quite clever." The elder laughed and said, "Are you so sure that I'm looking for you?" "Ha, other than me, is there anyone else who can wake up?" Lin Yi said proudly. Other than Qingwei, who could still see with her spiritual force, the gap between him and the others was like heaven and earth. "Interesting." The elder narrowed his eyes and suddenly asked, "What you're cultivating, is it the divine ability of 10,000 elephant? What's the relationship between you and Chun Daoxian?" After a moment of silence, Lin Yi very decisively told the elder about his cooperation with Chun Daoxian. He was not clear about the relationship between the elder and Chun Daoxian, but he could see that there seemed to be many factions within Sibu Gakuin. If he did not want to be involved in any of the factions, he could only tell the elder about their cooperation. He had agreed to help Chun Daoxian, but he could not put himself in danger. I see. After knowing that Lin Yi and Chun Daoxian were only cooperating, the elder's expression softened. He smiled and said, "My name is Tian Xiao. You can call me Elder Tian." Tian Xiao? Hearing this, Lin Yi was slightly surprised. It was the first time he had heard this surname. However, as soon as he heard this name, Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat, as if there was a whistling sound reverberating in his ears. This made Lin Yi's expression turn serious. It was obvious that the elder's strength was not weak. It was very likely that he was at the level of Murong Ning and Chun Daoxian. Little guy, after listening to my explanation, do you have any doubts in your heart? Or do you think that there is a conflict between me and the divine ability of 10,000 elephant? Tian Xiao looked at Lin Yi with a smile. I do have many doubts. Lin Yi did not put on any pretense and spoke out all the doubts in his heart. Ha ha ha. Tian Xiao laughed out loud. Not bad, little guy. You are very honest. Indeed, what I cultivate is very contradictory to the divine ability of 10,000 elephant. You can't learn it, but you can improve your understanding of the divine ability of 10,000 elephant through the points of contradiction. There are 3,000 great paths in the world. Every cultivation technique has its own philosophy to support it. They're all different, but their essence is the same. All things come from different paths to the same destination. 3,000 heavenly paths, heaven and earth, are one. Chapter 520. 3,000 heavenly Tao, heaven and earth as one. All living things lead to the same destination through different paths. These two sentences were like thunder that reverberated in Lin Yi's mind. Countless thoughts and insights emerged and burst forth in Lin Yi's mind. They collided and merged together. Epiphany. It's actually epiphany. Tian Xiao frowned and revealed a shocked expression. Epiphany was a mysterious state of cultivation. When one was in the state of epiphany, one's strength would increase by leaps and bounds. Of course, it was difficult to enter the state of epiphany. Even the most powerful genius would not dare to say that they could enter the state of epiphany. Lin Yi had only listened to his lecture once and entered the state of epiphany with just one sentence. This surprised Tian Xiao. This batch of new students seems to be quite talented. It looks like the following days are going to be interesting. Tian Xiao's lips curled up as he coughed gently. In an instant, all the disciples were awakened. Their bodies trembled as they looked around in a daze. Elder! Elder! When they saw Tian Xiao, they recalled what had happened earlier. They were shocked as they recalled the content of the lecture. Only a small number of people saw Lin Yi, who was daydreaming at the side. The lecture is over. Everyone go and cultivate. Tian Xiao waved his hand and flipped his right hand. A table appeared, and there was a tea set on it. When everyone saw this, their mouths twitched, and they were filled with admiration. Only someone at the elder's level could drink tea in such a calm manner in the heart-refining abyss, which was filled with danger. The students slowly left and began to look for a place to cultivate. Shangguan Yunqi and the others did not leave. They quietly approached Tian Xiao and looked at Lin Yi. They were not stupid. They could see that Lin Yi was in a mysterious state and had entered the state of epiphany. They did not dare to disturb Lin Yi. They wanted to go forward, but when they saw Tian Xiao sitting at the side, they did not dare to get too close. They only protected Lin Yi by his side. The other freshmen had already been dismissed by them. However, they hadn't seen Lin Yi for a day. The Heavenly Sword sect had just been established, so they had to discuss some matters with Lin Yi. Therefore, they had to wait here. Why aren't you leaving yet? After taking a sip of tea, Tian Xiao slowly put down the teacup and said indifferently, "While you haven't forgotten what I just said, you should cultivate as soon as possible." Cough, cough. Shangguan Yunqi said awkwardly, "Elder, we are waiting for him. We have other matters to attend to." "Oh, what is it? It's actually more important than cultivation?" Tian Xiao raised his eyebrows slightly. He immediately looked at Qingyu and said with a smile, "Since you want to wait for him, then wait a little longer. He's in a state of epiphany." If we interrupt him rashly, I'm afraid it will affect his cultivation. After all, this is not a place for cultivation. Be careful of divine will attacks. After saying that, Tian Shao put away the tea set and slowly left. He left just like that. Seeing this scene, Shangwan Yunqi and the others were suddenly surprised and scratched their heads. Hiss! This guy, it's fine if he disappeared for a day, but now that he's here, he's actually in a state of epiphany. What if Big Brother Lin's epiphany doesn't end until the heart-refining abyss closes? What should we do then? Let's not talk about this first. Don't you think that Lin Ye's talent is too terrifying? Epiphany. That's a realm that can only be encountered and not sought. In everyone's surprise, Lin Ye's body suddenly rippled with a divine will storm. Boom, boom, boom. The violent divine will storm surged and instantly sent Shangwan Yunqi, Muyi, and the others flying. Ha ha ha. In the next moment, Lin Ye's laughter rang out. Epiphany end. The divine will storm dissipated. Shangwan Yunqi, Muyi, Dao Feiyong, and the others looked at Lin Yi, but their expressions changed slightly. They suddenly sensed that Lin Ye's aura was much stronger than before. Obviously, Lin Yi had obtained great benefits from this epiphany. Your divine will? Qingyue's expression became more and more solemn. She suddenly said, in half a month, I'll look for you. Finished speaking, Qingyue turned and left. Shangwan Yunqi and the others were confused. What was going on? Didn't Qingyue always treat Lin Yi the most special? Why did she leave now that Lin Yi's strength had improved? Lin Yi, you've finally appeared. However, Shangwan Yunqi and the others did not care much about these things. They just sighed and said, the Heavenly Sword sect has just begun to develop, but you, the sect leader, have run away. If it weren't for Sun Wuyu and Silent Soul, we're really afraid that you'd have abandoned us. Cough, cough. Hearing this, Lin Yi, who was originally excited, immediately looked embarrassed. Stepping forward, Lin Yi smiled at Shangwan Yunqi and said, Brother Shangwan, I've already heard from Silent Soul. These 2 days, it's all thanks to you guys. All right, here's 1,000,000 points. Take it as the Heavenly Sword Sect's development points. Finished speaking, Lin Yi raised his hand and raised the bracelet. 1,000,000 points? So much? Hearing this, Shangwan Yunqi and the others were shocked. A few days ago, with the help of the seniors and many demonic beasts, they had only obtained a few 100,000 points. Now, Lin Yi had only been missing for a day, and he had already taken out 1,000,000 points. It was really shocking. Brother Lin, don't tell me you want to rob the seniors? For a moment, Shangwan Yunqi, Dao Feiyong, and the others looked at Lin Yi in shock. No. Lin Yi grinned and said, I'm not that kind of person. I'm already in the academy. How could I rob the seniors? The Heavenly Thunder Realm is a good place. If you need points in the future, you can refine the Thunder Origin Elixir and exchange it for points. At the same time, you can also temper your body and improve your strength. Oh, the Heavenly Thunder Realm is so good. Hearing this, Shangwan Yunqi and the others were shocked. Dao Feiyong frowned and asked doubtfully, That's impossible. I've been to the Heavenly Thunder Realm. You can improve your strength there, but it's very difficult to refine the Thunder Origin Elixir. It said that even a late-stage saint can only refine one Thunder Origin Elixir in 6 hours. One Thunder Origin Elixir is only 3,000 points. How can you earn so much? Hearing this, Shangwan Yunqi and the others looked at Lin Yi with strange expressions. In their minds, a possibility quietly emerged. Refining one Thunder Origin Elixir in 6 hours? Lin Yi exclaimed, It can't be. Is the refining speed of the Thunder Origin Elixir so slow? Slow? The corner of Dao Feiyong's mouth twitched. That's fast. Some people can only refine one Thunder Origin Elixir in 8 or even 10 hours. If the Heavenly Thunder Realm didn't have the effect of tempering one's body, I'm afraid no one would refine the Thunder Origin Elixir. Only some people who are proficient in body-refining cultivation methods can refine the Thunder Origin Elixir in 4 hours. Brother Lin, you've earned more than 1,000,000 points in one day. May I ask how many Thunder Origin elixirs you've refined? Not many, not many. Only 290. Lin Yi grinned and said, I didn't expect you to refine the Thunder Origin elixir so slowly. It seems that it's easier to survive in the blood refining ground. 290. Chapter 521. You're really a monster. Dao Feiyong sighed. I spent several days in the blood refining ground, the fastest place to earn points, but I only earned a few tens of thousands of points. The Heavenly Thunder Realm is so terrifying, but you sigh. As his voice fell, Shangwan Yunqi and the others became more aware of the gap between themselves and Lin Yi. They could not help but sigh. At the beginning, they were a little unconvinced of Lin Yi and thought that one day they could surpass Lin Yi. But as time passed, they understood Lin Yi more and more. The unconvinced in their hearts completely dissipated and was replaced with respect and admiration. Since you've obtained so many points, then I won't be polite. Shangwan Yunqi decisively raised his wrist and accepted the 1 million points from Lin Yi. Since Lin Yi was earning points so quickly, they naturally would not decline. It just so happens that the Heavenly Sword sect needs to develop, so these points are indispensable. Yes, with so many points, we can exchange them for several saint-grade treasures. Mu Yi and the others grinned. Seeing this scene, Lin Yi was quite comforted. It was obvious that Mu Yi and the others had thoroughly regarded the Heavenly Sword sect as their home. All right, time is running out. Everyone, work hard to cultivate. Lin Yi said in a deep voice, This elder's lecture is very good. I have a lot of insights, so you must also work hard to comprehend. Ha, that's natural. Shangwan Yunqi grinned. Originally, I just wanted to talk to you about the Heavenly Sword sect. Let's see if you still want to work. Since you've already gotten the points, and you still remember us, we won't disturb you any longer. After they finished speaking, Shangwan Yunqi, Mu Yi, and Dao Feiyong left to find a place to cultivate. After coming to Cebu Gakuen, everyone's original intention was to enhance their own strength. They were willing to sacrifice so much time for Lin Yi and the Heavenly Sword sect, which was already rare. Lin Yi, on the other hand, strolled towards the core area. At this moment, his divine telekinesis had been enhanced to the 56th order. The divine telekinesis attacks on the periphery were unable to cause any harm to him. Under normal circumstances, Lin Yi would not be able to improve his spiritual force until he found the second scroll of the 3,000 heavenly Daos. However, after listening to Tian Zhao's explanation, Lin Yi came to a realization. No matter what kind of cultivation method, the core goal was to enhance the strength of one's divine sense. This way, there was no need to consider what kind of cultivation method it was, as long as one's divine sense was strengthened. The first scroll of the 3,000 heavenly Daos could only be cultivated up to the 55th order of spiritual force. Before he found the second scroll, Lin Yi could cultivate other cultivation techniques and break through to the next level. Therefore, in the Epiphany just now, even though Lin Yi had yet to obtain the subsequent divine sense cultivation method, he had already broken through the shackles of cultivation and raised his divine sense to level 56. It could be said that this was an unprecedented feat that would never be replicated in the future. As he went deeper into the heart, refining abyss, the fluctuations of his divine sense became stronger. Lin Yi looked around. There were countless small rooms, and there were students cultivating in them. Those rooms had the effect of isolating divine sense fluctuations, allowing people to cultivate without any scruples, reducing the possibility of accidents. Not long after, a gray fog gradually rose in front of Lin Yi, blocking the path in front of him. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The invisible divine sense fluctuations became more violent. Noticing this, Lin Yi frowned slightly. He took a step forward, but there was a bang sound. Lin Yi looked over and saw that the gray fog had turned into a wall of light, blocking in front of Lin Yi. I can't go in here. Touching his nose, Lin Yi suddenly remembered that Murong Ning had given him a jade pendant when he talked about the qualifications to enter the core circle. Maybe I can go in with the jade pendant. Raising his eyebrows, Lin Yi called out the jade pendant. In the next moment, a faint silver-white glow appeared, and all the gray fog dissipated quickly like snow under the scorching sun. TSK. Entering the core circle to cultivate is so troublesome. Exclaiming, Lin Yi stepped into the core circle. Buzz! Almost instantly, the divine sense fluctuations around him were like thousands of ghosts, whistling and attacking Lin Yi. Lin Yi was not prepared. He felt his mind go blank, and he could not help but be stunned on the spot. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The divine sense was like a bee's sting, and also like a ghost, constantly attacking Lin Yi. Even though Lin Yi's divine sense had reached the sage level, he could not be completely immune to these attacks. He kept hitting his head. After regaining his senses, Lin Yi gritted his teeth and activated the 3,000 heavenly ways with all his might. Although the 10,000 godly art could completely unleash his divine sense, at this moment, these divine sense attacks were overwhelming. The 10,000 godly art was too specific, and counterattacking was not as good as defending. As the 3,000 heavenly ways operated, all the damage that Lin Yi suffered was immediately eliminated. Lin Yi calmed down and slowly opened his eyes. In the core circle of the heart-refining abyss, there were no small houses. Instead, there were many futons, and beside the futons were arrays. Evidently, those spirit formations were used to protect the cultivators. The deeper he went, the greater the power contained in the formation beside the praying mat. Looking around, Lin Yi was surprised to find that there were actually several figures cultivating in the core of the area. One of them was none other than Peng Tianyu, whom he had met in the spirit gathering array and had fought with. It's him, TSK. His strength is far stronger than Zhu Mingyao. I didn't notice him last time, and I wonder what he is in the outer yard. It seems that those who can enter the core circle are not ordinary people. Even the weakest person is a peak saint. If he wants to gain a foothold in the outer yard, he still has a way to go. Narrowing his eyes, Lin Yi did not disturb Peng Tianyu and the rest, and walked deeper into the abyss. With the protection of the 3,000 heavenly ways, in addition to the divine sense waves of the 56th order, the divine sense attacks in the core circle could not cause him any harm. The deeper he went into the core circle, the grayish-white fog appeared. Lin Yi went forward and looked around, but he was shocked. Behind the grayish-white fog was an abyss. It was a void, and only gray fog could be seen. However, Lin Yi's eyes pierced through the abyss. What entered his eyes was a bubble, shining with a holy light, floating in the endless fog. Bang, bang, bang. Lin Yi's heart suddenly beat rapidly after seeing that bubble. TSK, what is this? Frowning, Lin Yi covered his chest with his hand and stared at that ball of bubble. As if he had seen a giant dragon made of lightning, Lin Yi could not control himself. This made him extremely surprised. Was Sibu Gakuin really so fated with him? He could obtain 2 great opportunities just by going to 2 mystic realms. There were even elders in the sacred depository who were willing to teach him divine sense cultivation. This treatment was simply like being the son of destiny. However, that ball of bubble was in the fog abyss. Even if he was fated with it, how could he obtain it? Chapter 522. Boom, boom, boom. Just as Lin Yi's right hand reached into the fog, behind the fog, the ball of water bubble suddenly began to boil like a raging inferno. Walala! The water bubble surged. In an instant, the fluctuation of divine sense swept out like a hurricane. Loud noises were heard continuously. The spiritual force hurricane turned into a storm and spun wildly, slowly spreading to the periphery. Damn it! Lin Yi's heart trembled, and he hurriedly tried to retract his hand. However, in the next moment, he was horrified to find that his hand had been sucked in by a huge force, and he was unable to move at all. What made his heart turn cold was that the ball of bubbles was actually slowly rising and rushing towards him. Lin Yi did not have to take the initiative. The bubble was also triggered by Lin Yi. Boom! Boom! The berserk voice was like thunder, reverberating crazily. In an instant, the entire heart-refining abyss was in an uproar. Regardless of whether it was the core region or the periphery, all the students who were cultivating were awakened. Poof! The raging divine sense swept across like a gust of wind. The strongest among the students was only a peak saint. They could not withstand it and were injured on the spot, spitting out blood. Some of the weaker students felt a stabbing pain in their heads. Their spiritual force was in a daze, and they could not move at all. The uproar in the heart-refining abyss was like an earth dragon turning over. It spread out mightily. Not only that, but the entire outer court of Cebu Gakuen was shaking violently. Countless elders, including Flawless White, rushed over. In less than 10 breaths, dozens of figures appeared above the heart-refining abyss. Damn it! Why is the heart-refining abyss in an uproar again? What is going on this year? In the past, there would not be an uproar even once in a few hundred years. But in the past few days, there have been 2 consecutive uproars. Many of the elders looked solemn and gloomy as they stared at the fog below. The originally calm white fog was now like a raging beast. The fog was like sharp teeth. The violent spiritual force kept wreaking havoc in the heart-refining abyss, tearing the bodies of many students apart. Walala! Suddenly, the white mist was shaken away. Murong Ning and the other elders of the heart-refining abyss each swept up hundreds of students, broke through the white mist, and flew straight into the air. Elder Bai, hurry up and attack. Seeing Flawless White, Murong Ning was overjoyed. He quickly shouted, "There are still many students inside. Quickly save them." This time, the heart-refining abyss has completely gone berserk. We'll suppress it. All right. Hearing that, Flawless White did not hesitate at all. He immediately waved his hand and led the elders into the heart-refining abyss. The heart-refining abyss could be said to be the most popular place for students besides the blood refinement field. At this moment, there were close to 10,000 students, which was quite a number. Even if all the elders worked together, it would be difficult to save all of them in a short period of time. Fortunately, with Flawless White and the other experts around, the surging divine sense could no longer hurt them. 15 minutes later, all the students had been rescued and were unconscious on the ground. In the heart-refining abyss, the violent spiritual force storm was becoming more and more violent. Everyone, get ready to seal the array. Murong Ning looked around and saw that there were no students in the heart-refining abyss. He immediately raised his hand. However, before he could give the order, a voice shouted urgently, "Murong, wait! There is another person in the core circle of the heart-refining abyss." After the voice finished speaking, everyone looked in the direction of the finger and was instantly shocked. Their faces were filled with astonishment. D**M*. Why is there a student near the core circle? That is the spiritual force abyss. If one is not careful, he will be doomed eternally. No, that little guy seems to be Lin Yi. In an instant, the corners of Murong Ning, Flawless White, and the other elders' mouths twitched. They were dumbfounded and even forgot to seal the heart-refining abyss. Whoosh! Whoosh! Suddenly, before Flawless White, Murong Ning, and the rest could attack, the violent spiritual force storm in the heart-refining abyss flowed back rapidly like a river flowing backward. In just 3 breaths' time, the heart-refining abyss, which had been raging violently, regained its calm. Countless spiritual forces and grayish-white fog gathered crazily above the abyss. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a giant cocoon and wrapped Lin Yi up. Gasp, what is going on? That student was swallowed by the spiritual force storm just like that. Oh no! After coming to their senses, Flawless White, Tian Xiao, Murong Ning, and the other elders' faces changed drastically, and they quickly flew forward. Boom! 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 However, just as they rushed into the heart-refining abyss, and before they could even get close to the giant cocoon, an invisible wave exploded. Boom! Without any hindrance, the dozens of figures were sent flying by the impact. Even by Wuxia's body trembled. Blood oozed out from the corner of his mouth without any regard for his life. As for the other elders, they were unable to resist and were thrown out. They fell hard on the ground and felt as though their bones were falling apart. They could not even muster up any strength. This horrified them as they looked at the giant cocoon in shock. The light around the giant cocoon was weak, but it gave people an indescribable fear. Damn it, how could this be? Flawless White frowned slightly and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. His eyes shone brightly as he stared at the giant cocoon. Buzz! A golden light suddenly shot out from Flawless White's eyes and scanned the giant cocoon. A figure appeared in Flawless White's eyes. After a while, the figure disappeared. Phew, it's good that he's fine. Seeing this scene, Flawless White could not help but let out a long sigh of relief. As long as Linyi was fine, everything was fine. This little guy really knows how to cause trouble. He just caused chaos in the Heavenly Thunder realm, and now the heart-refining abyss is completely rioting. I really don't know if our Cebu Gakuin will be safe and sound if we let him stay here any longer. When this matter is over, we must chase him out and let him cause more trouble for the people outside. After making up his mind, Flawless White's figure slowly descended. He placed his hands behind his back and looked at the giant cocoon quietly. There was still a divine light in his eyes. In his heart, as long as Linyi was fine, it was fine. As for the heart-refining abyss, it was not within his consideration. Elder Bai, cough cough. Elder Bai, what should we do next? Many elders got up with difficulty amidst the violent coughing. They gathered around Flawless White and stared at the giant cocoon nervously. Go and call the first elder. Also, activate the Academy's array. If the people inside are in danger, take action at any time and completely suppress the entire heart-refining abyss. Flawless White said in a deep voice, Murong Ning, Tian Xiao, the two of you get ready to support at any time. Linyi, this little guy, is really too good at causing trouble. Murong Ning's mouth twitched. How long has it been? He actually caused the heart-refining abyss to become like this again. Chapter 523. The spiritual force storm was like a hurricane, wreaking havoc. However, Linyi was wrapped in a ball of bubbles within the huge light cocoon. Under the protection of the bubble, the spiritual force attacks could not harm him at all. As for the fog, it treated him like a treasure. Countless amounts of fog turned into the purest form of spiritual force and poured into Linyi's body and mind, allowing him to absorb it freely. In an instant, Linyi's spiritual force, which had just broken through to rank 56 and had not yet stabilized, suddenly grew at an extremely fast speed. His foundation became more solid, and his strength became more vigorous and profound. Logically speaking, Linyi's spiritual force breakthrough to rank 56 was completely coincidental. Before he obtained a new spiritual force cultivation method, it would be very difficult for him to completely stabilize his spiritual force. However, this time, with the help of the heart-refining abyss, this problem was easily solved, not to mention that it could not be stabilized. Now Linyi could break through to rank 57 at any time as long as he wanted to. This made Linyi feel as if he was dreaming. The breakthrough of spiritual force was far more difficult than martial cultivation. To break through twice in a day was like a fantasy story. After completely stabilizing his spiritual force, the pure spiritual force formed by the gray fog surged into the depths of Linyi's mind. At the same time, the ball of bubbles also rippled with a special force. It followed the spiritual force and rushed into the depths of Linyi's mind. Boom! As if the world was spinning, Linyi's mind went blank and his entire body froze on the spot. In his mind, the spiritual force and the special force gathered together and constantly stirred and collided. Not long after, another spiritual force appeared. The moment that spiritual force appeared, it exploded with a strong suction and devouring force, crazily devouring the power. Walala! The white fog was like flowing water, gathering in Lin Ye's body. The ball of bubbles also became weaker and weaker. Not long after, the gray fog surrounding the heart-refining abyss had become much thinner. In some places, it could not even stop people. What was even more shocking was that the white fog was gradually shrinking. The numerous elders who had been watching from the sidelines were so shocked that their jaws dropped when they saw this scene. Isn't this little guy too good at causing trouble? The heart-refining abyss has existed for hundreds of years, and no one has ever been able to move the white mist. Luckily, the sky market is about to open. When the time comes, we could just throw him in so that he won't harm us again. Not bad. Many elders ridiculed him. Before Lin Yi arrived, the entire outer courtyard was peaceful. It had only been 3 days, and so many things had happened, which really shocked them. Even Flawless White, Murong Ning, and the others shook their heads and sighed helplessly. It felt like an eternity, but it also felt like an instant. Lin Ye's consciousness gradually awakened, but he appeared before the Chaos Divine Tree. At this moment, the Chaos Divine Tree was much stronger and healthier than before, causing Lin Yi to be slightly surprised. What shocked Lin Yi even more was a figure. Biluo, why are you here? Lin Yi was extremely shocked and could not believe his eyes. In the world of Great Xia, in order to kill the Demon Emperor, he had forcefully borrowed Biluo's power, causing Biluo to fall into a coma for 3 years. But now, only a few months had passed, and Biluo had awakened again, which really shocked him. However, after the shock, Lin Yi was ecstatic. Not only was Biluo powerful, but she also knew a lot. With her around, many things could be avoided. Why? You don't seem to want to see me? Sensing Lin Yi's surprise, Biluo raised her eyebrows and looked at Lin Yi. How could it be? Lin Yi smiled and said, I'm just too surprised. It's really great that you can recover so quickly. All right, didn't you say that you need 3 years to recover? It's only been a few months now. How did you wake up? What? It's only been a few months? Hearing that, Biluo was also surprised. She knew that the injuries she suffered the last time were very serious and very difficult to recover. 3 years was already a relatively fast guess. She did not expect that she would recover in just a few months. Huff. Taking a deep breath, Biluo said in a deep voice, I didn't expect that your luck is actually so heaven-defying. In these few months, I believe that you must have obtained many opportunities. At the same time that your divine sense was improving, it also accelerated my recovery. Saying that, Biluo carefully sized up Lin Yi and immediately sucked in a breath of cold air, becoming more and more certain of her guess in her heart. Your improvement is really fast. How long has it been, and you're about to break through to the Sage Realm? The power of your divine sense even broke through to the peak of level 56. Give you some more time. I'm afraid that you can kill the Demon Emperor and the rest without my help. Unfortunately, the time left for me back then was really too little. Lin Yi shrugged. No matter what, it's all in the past, and you've already woken up. Although I've woken up, my strength hasn't recovered yet. Biluo sighed and narrowed her eyes. After a moment, she suddenly asked, Where are you now? Why do I feel that the spiritual energy fluctuation here is so strong? This is Cebu Gakuen. Lin Yi nodded slightly. Almost every place here has a spiritual energy gathering array, so the spiritual energy fluctuation is naturally strong. No wonder, Biluo said in surprise. This place is not bad, and I keep feeling that there's a treasure outside. No. What's wrapped around your body seems to be origin, source, heavenly water. Biluo looked at Lin Yi in surprise. Origin, source, heavenly water? Lin Yi was also surprised. A treasure that could surprise Biluo was definitely extraordinary. It's really origin, source, heavenly water, Biluo said in a deep voice. With origin, source, heavenly water, the the first stage of the chaotic sacred tree can be perfected. Didn't you ask me in the past how to nurture the chaotic sacred tree to the second stage? I can tell you now. To nurture the chaotic sacred tree to the second stage, the first thing you have to do is to perfect the first stage until the chaotic sacred tree can no longer be perfected. Also, your cultivation realm has surpassed the sage level. Given your current breakthrough speed, surpassing the sage level will probably only take a few decades or 100 years. Next, you should start collecting divine items to nurture the chaotic sacred tree. Then how should I collect the origin source heavenly water? Lin Yi rubbed his nose. He didn't expect that there would be a treasure in the heart refining abyss that could nurture the chaotic sacred tree. I'll help you later to draw the origin source heavenly water into your body. Then they will merge with the chaotic sacred tree. Biluo said in a deep voice. The reason why they pestered you is because they sense the aura of the chaotic sacred tree. The chaotic sacred tree and the origin source heavenly water are one. I have to say that your fate is extremely good. Your domain has long broken through the shackles, and you coincidentally obtained the origin source heavenly water. It's enough to comprehend the power of laws. Power of laws? Chapter 524. The Power of Laws? Lin Yi was surprised. Isn't it said that one can't comprehend the power of laws until they reach a certain level? That's for ordinary people. Biluo smiled. You have fate and the chaotic divine tree. Naturally, you can comprehend the power of laws in advance. The power of laws transcended domains and had astonishing power. It also had a great suppressive effect on domains. If two people were of similar cultivation levels, and one had comprehended the power of laws while the other had not, the person who comprehended the power of laws could break the other person's domain in an instant and defeat him. At the thought of this, Lin Yi's breathing could not help but quicken. If he could comprehend the power of laws, his strength would rise to another level. Of course, before you comprehend the power of laws, you must become a saint. Biluo suddenly said, if you're not even a saint, even the chaotic divine tree won't be able to comprehend the power of laws. All right, let's not waste time. Hurry and draw the origin source heavenly water in. As soon as she finished speaking, Biluo gently placed her hands together. In a split second, Lin Yi felt his entire body tremble. The next moment, the silvery white light turned into liquid and flowed into his body. Walala! The moment the origin source heavenly water entered Lin Yi's body, the chaotic divine tree flickered with light. The two resonated at the same time. Sensing the chaotic divine tree's guidance, the origin source heavenly water quickly came to Lin Yi's consciousness and merged with the chaotic divine tree. Biluo's originally slightly illusory figure gradually solidified. At the same time, the water bubble that enveloped Lin Yi in the grayish-white fog slowly dissipated. After the water bubble disappeared, the grayish-white fog and the divine consciousness storm stopped and gradually calmed down. In less than an hour, the giant cocoon completely dissipated. The grayish-white fog spread outwards and shrouded the heart refining abyss again. The origin source heavenly water also completely merged with the chaotic divine tree. Lin Yi, whose eyes were tightly shut, quietly woke up. Swoosh! 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 The moment Lin Yi woke up, he heard the sound of air being torn apart. The next moment, the figures of several elders appeared and surrounded him. Phew, as long as you're all right. After confirming that Lin Yi was not injured, Flawless White and the other elders heaved a sigh of relief. Thank you for your concern, elders. Lin Yi cupped his fists and bowed. Now that he had caused such a huge commotion, there was no need to ask. There would definitely be elders nearby. You little brat, you still know how to trouble us. Murong Ning said angrily. Every time we come to the heart refining abyss, it causes a riot. I won't dare to let you come here in the future. In the Heavenly Thunder Realm, the elders of the Heavenly Thunder Realm laughed bitterly. Up until now, the power of thunder has not completely recovered. My heart-refining abyss will take at least half a month to recover. Murong Ning sighed. Fortunately, the periphery is not affected. Just as Murong Ning and the other elders were teasing Lin Yi, Flawless White walked up to the abyss and sized it up. Lin Yi, did you take away the holy water inside? Suddenly, Flawless White's voice sounded. Murong Ning and the others' expressions changed slightly, and they quickly turned to look at the abyss. Is the holy water really gone? The corners of their mouths twitched. Murong Ning and the other elders in charge of the heart-refining abyss looked at Lin Yi strangely. The reason why the heart-refining abyss had the power to refine one's soul was because of the holy water and the grayish-white fog. Now that the holy water was taken away and only the grayish-white fog was left, the effects of the heart-refining abyss might disappear. Cough, cough. Lin Yi coughed awkwardly and said softly, "Well, I don't know what happened, but the origin heavenly water ran into my body automatically. But don't worry, this place is a little special. In less than half a year, new origin heavenly water will be born. In this half a year, I can provide some origin heavenly water first, so it won't delay your cultivation." After the chaotic divine tree and the origin heavenly water merged, a river automatically opened up in the ninefold space, and it was filled with origin heavenly water. According to Biluo, the chaotic divine tree and the origin heavenly water complemented each other and could strengthen each other. In addition, the origin heavenly water had many benefits, so Lin Yi naturally wouldn't reject it. Origin heavenly water? That's the origin heavenly water. Hearing Lin Yi's words, Flawless White and the others were shocked and looked at Lin Yi in shock. You don't know that's the origin heavenly water? Lin Yi's mouth twitched. Hiss. We've heard of the origin heavenly water. That's a divine item. Flawless White sighed and said, I didn't expect that after searching for so long, it has already appeared in front of us. Yes, I really didn't expect that to be the origin heavenly water. The rest of the elders sighed together. If they had known that it was the origin heavenly water, they would have taken it out. The origin heavenly water had many magical uses and was worthy of being called a divine item. Lin Yi. At that thought, Flawless White's face turned serious. He stared at Lin Yi and said in a low voice, Can you take out some of the origin heavenly water for us to study? Of course, we won't let you lose out. I can open the inner yard's sacred depository to you. You can exchange for one item for free if you have less than 10 million points. In addition, I can also personally sponsor you with 2 million points. Lin Yi looked at Flawless White in shock. He didn't expect Flawless White to offer such generous conditions. After all, he was a member of Cebu Gakuen. Moreover, he had obtained the origin heavenly water from the heart refining abyss. He was willing to do it for free, let alone such a generous reward. Elderby, you're exaggerating. Lin Yi cupped his fists and said, I obtained the origin heavenly water from the heart refining abyss. Even if it's free, I'm willing to contribute some origin heavenly water, let alone points. Great. That's right. Hearing that, Flawless White, Murong Ning, and the other elders were shocked. They looked at Lin Yi doubtfully and felt even more satisfied. Who wouldn't like someone who valued friendship and loyalty? The origin heavenly water was a divine item. No matter how many points they had, they couldn't compare to it. Therefore, they didn't expect Lin Yi to contribute the origin heavenly water. But now, Lin Yi's attitude made them feel ashamed. They were the ones who judged a gentleman with their own mean measure. You're not bad, kid. I didn't misjudge you. Tian Xiao laughed out loud. If you have any problems with your divine thought in the future, you can come to me anytime. Kid, the elixir dispensary will always welcome you. In an instant, the elders were very satisfied with Lin Yi. Flawless White laughed out loud. Good kid, since you've agreed, that's great. However, I've already said it. You don't want me to be a person who goes back on his words, right? When I return to the inner yard, I'll talk to the Supreme and give you the right to open the inner yard's sacred depository. Can you take out the origin heavenly water for us to take a look? Chapter 525. No problem. With a smile, Linyi extended his right hand. In the next moment, a milky white holy light surged. Gurgle, gurgle. A stream of water appeared out of thin air. In an instant, a gentle energy rippled through the space like a spring breeze, refreshing one's heart and mind. Almost at the same time, Flawless White and the rest felt as though their bodies had been sublimated. This is the origin source holy water. Gulp. Looking at it, I feel like I'm dozens of years younger. Swallowing sounds could be heard. Even Flawless White, Murong Ning, and the rest were tempted. Divine items were existences that surpassed the sage level and had indescribable fate. I'll place this origin source heavenly water in the heart refining abyss and guarantee that it will last for half a month. With that, Lin Yi waved his right hand, and the origin source heavenly water turned into a stream of light, breaking through the grayish-white fog and entering the abyss again. Gurgle, gurgle. The origin source heavenly water landed in the abyss and turned into a ball of water bubbles after a short while, exactly the same as before. Buzz, buzz, buzz. At the same time, the divine consciousness fluctuation in the heart refining abyss intensified again. The grayish-white fog became thicker. Although it was not as thick as before, it had recovered a lot. Seeing this, Murong Ning could not help but heave a sigh of relief. The heart-refining abyss did not need to be closed anymore. Also, this origin source heavenly water is my contribution to the Academy. A rich, holy aura, mixed with the power of life, appeared. A ball of origin source heavenly water appeared. It was more than 5 times bigger than the previous one. All the elders were stunned when they saw this. They had seen the origin heavenly water before, so they knew that the origin heavenly water contained within was only half as large as this one. Now, Lin Yi was willing to contribute half of it directly, which made them feel touched. Lin Yi, are you really willing to contribute so much? Flawless White stared at Lin Yi. Of course. Lin Yi smiled and said, it's good for me if the Academy can develop better. Ha ha ha. Good lad. Flawless White smiled in relief. However, we don't need that much to study the origin source heavenly water. As he laughed, Flawless White extended his right index finger and gently swiped at the origin source water. In the next moment, the origin source water was immediately sliced apart. After taking a fifth of it, Flawless White smiled and said, you can take back the rest. I'll make a trip back to the inner court first. I'll give you the rest of the items when I return in a few days. After saying that, Flawless White did not give Lin Yi a chance to react. He turned around and left. The corners of Lin Yi's mouth twitched as he looked at the remaining origin heavenly water. Spiritual chi was abundant in the ninefold space. Coupled with the chaotic divine tree, the origin heavenly water's environment was excellent. There was no need to worry. Helplessly withdrawing the origin source heavenly water, Lin Yi looked at Murong Ning and the others. He smiled and said, elders, do you still need me here? No need. Murong Ning shook his head and said with a smile, the origin source heavenly water has returned, and the heart refining abyss has also stabilized. It's fine now. Huff. It's just that we still need you to make another trip after some time. Murong Ning turned to look at the abyss and said in a deep voice, you said earlier that you would come once every half a month, but you underestimated the heart refining abyss. This ball of origin source heavenly water is just a clone after all. It's very difficult for it to last that long. Elder, after the origin source heavenly water is exhausted, you can look for me anytime. Lin Yi nodded slightly. Huff. I hope the new origin source heavenly water can appear soon. Murong Ning sighed and said, it's not a good thing to keep troubling you. All right, you can leave first. Go to the elixir dispensary and fire cloud platform early to take a look. Try to cause trouble for them too. Ha ha ha. As soon as he finished speaking, all the elders burst into laughter. Cough, cough. That depends on whether the elders welcome me or not. Lin Yi grinned, then cupped his fists and left with the elders. After Lin Yi left, the elders looked at each other and suddenly sighed. How many years has it been since a student who can treat Cebu Gakuin as his own family has appeared? Not only is this kid extremely talented, but his character is also perfect. I kind of like him. It's a pity that this kid is not someone who stays in the pond. With his talent, he will enter the inner yard very soon. At that time, we will only be able to hear his legend. Amidst the laughter, the elders left the heart-refining abyss, leaving only Murong Ning, Tian Xiao, and a few others to quietly stabilize the heart-refining abyss. Although the riot had ended, it would still take some effort to completely stabilize the heart-refining abyss without harming the students. After walking out of the heart-refining abyss, Lin Yi was stunned and could not help but open his mouth wide. Outside the heart-refining abyss, thousands of people were lying on the ground and had yet to wake up. The heart-refining abyss was rioting. The divine sense undulations were extremely intense. With their strength, they were unable to resist. Even with the help of the elders, they were still unconscious. Wanted to wake up? It would take at least a day. Lin Yi hurriedly found Shangguan Yunqi and the rest, and quickly dragged them all together. And, just as he was about to make a move, Qingyue's eyelashes twitched, gradually waking up. She was a divine sense saint after all. Her resistance to divine sense far surpassed others. Helping Qingyue up, Lin Yi's mind stirred. A drop of origin heavenly water appeared and entered Qingyue's body. The next moment, Qingyue only felt the depths of her sea of consciousness tumble. She suddenly woke up, feeling refreshed, making her incomparably surprised. Many thanks. Although she did not know what Lin Yi did, Qingyue could feel that her body had changed. She immediately thanked Lin Yi. Smiling slightly, seeing that Qingyue recovered, Lin Yi lightly flicked his finger. Several more drops of origin heavenly water entered Shangguan Yunqi, Muyi, Dao, Fei Yang, and the rest. Instantly, the expressions of Shangguan Yunqi four people eased up a lot. The heart-refining abyss riot this time was caused by you again? Qingyue suddenly stared at Lin Yi closely. Only you didn't faint. Also, your divine sense undulation seems to be stronger than before. Your observation is quite detailed. Lin Yi said with a smile, that's right. The riot this time was because of me again. I obtained some benefits from it. Therefore, my divine sense power also improved. Seeing Lin Yi really admit it, Qingyue's gaze when looking at Lin Yi immediately became strange. Freak! After a moment of silence, Qingyue finally spat out a word. Immediately, she gritted her teeth and said, cancel the gambling fight in a few days first. After I break through, I'll go find you. Ha ha ha. Lin Yi laughed out loud. When you break through, I might break through too. Humph, I don't believe it. How long has it been since you broke through? Gritting her teeth, Qingyue suddenly said, an inner court senior called me to go to a ruin together. Do you want to go together? That ruin was left behind by divine, sense heavenly sage. Oh? When? Raising his brows, Lin Yi's interest was piqued as he looked at Qingyue. The exact time is not set. If you agree, I'll contact you again in a few days. I'll go back and cultivate first. Humph, one day I'll surpass you. Rolling her eyes at Lin Yi, Qingyue turned around and leaped away. Strange, why does this girl keep saying that she wants to surpass me? Chapter 526. Ugh, Shangguan Yunqi, Muyi, and the others woke up one after another. As soon as they woke up, Shangguan Yunqi and the others immediately wailed, my head hurts. Hiss, what's happening? It seems like the heart-refining abyss is rioting again. It's only been a few days, and there are consecutive riots. Is the heart-refining abyss really that dangerous? Shangguan Yunqi, Muyi, and the others looked at each other and complained. Lin Yi could not help but cough awkwardly and said, this is also a special reason. There won't be any problems in the future. The heart-refining abyss is very effective. It can temper everyone's divine sense. Oh, Brother Lin. Shangwan Yunshi and the others were surprised to hear Lin Ye's words. Only then did they realize that Lin Yi was also there. Shangwan Yunshi and the others were delighted. Just as they were about to speak, they suddenly realized that Lin Ye's condition was quite good. It did not seem like he had just fainted. They immediately asked, Brother Lin, you are not injured just now? No, don't tell me you're the one behind this riot again. After saying that, Shangwan Yunshi and the others looked at Lin Yi strangely. Ahem. Lin Yi smiled awkwardly and said, there was a small problem during the cultivation process. Brother Lin. Shangwan Yunshi suddenly grabbed Lin Ye's wrist and said seriously, next time, please tell me where you're going to cultivate. I will definitely avoid you. Hee hee. Lin Ye's face froze. He then smiled and stared at Shangwan Yunshi. Today's weather is good. Little Dao, the saint energy in your body is surging. Are you going to break through soon? Dao Feiyong, Mu Yi, and Yin Sure How quickly changed the topic. All right, let's hurry up and cultivate. Helplessly glancing at Shangwan Yunshi and the others, Lin Yi slowly got up and stretched. After cultivating for a few days, I should also take a break. Shangwan Yunshi and the others got up and said goodbye to Lin Yi. Just as they turned around, they were surprised. Only then did they realize that the ground was full of people. Brother Lin, why haven't they woken up yet? Shangwan Yunshi and the others were curious. They will wake up tomorrow. Lin Yi said snappily, I already spent a lot of energy waking you up. I don't have the time to save them. The corners of Shangwan Yunqi's mouth twitched, but his heart was filled with gratitude. Their strength was not considered outstanding among the many students. Now that they had woken up early, it was clear that Lin Yi must have spent a lot of effort to wake them up. All right, hurry up and cultivate. I'll make a trip to the Sacred Depository Pavilion first. Waving his hand, Lin Yi leaped up and rushed towards the Saint Depository Pavilion. Biluo had just woken up. If she wanted to completely stabilize her condition, she would need some spiritual herbs and saint pills. Once again arriving at the Saint Depository Pavilion, Lin Yi directly dashed towards the 10th level. However, just as he arrived at the 5th level, Biluo called out to him, There's no need to go up. I can feel the sacred medicine that can strengthen my soul. Under Biluo's guidance, Lin Yi quickly came to a shelf with 3 silver bottles on it. He stretched out his right hand and a screen appeared. Heavenly Fragrance Soul-Nurturing Pill, Upper Grade Saint Pill. It has a strong effect on strengthening one's soul. Even a dying person can condense their soul and prevent it from dissipating. Points required, 500,000. 7 Soul-Nurturing Powder, Upper Grade Saint Pill. It has the effect of strengthening one's soul and strengthening one's foundation. Points required, 600,000. Heavenly Heart Pill, Upper Grade Saint Pill. It has a certain probability of entering a mysterious state and has a chance to comprehend the heavenly eye, heavenly heart, and other secret skills. Points required, 10,000. Pills related to the soul are so expensive. After seeing the price, Lin Yi could not help but be surprised. The soul and divine consciousness are the most mysterious parts of the human body. These pills are naturally much more expensive. These 2 pills are of good quality. It's enough for me to stabilize my soul. Biluo said in a low voice. You don't have to exchange for the Heavenly Heart Pill. There are other good pills around. Remember to take a look. All right. Nodding his head slightly, Lin Yi spent 1 million points to buy the 2 types of medicinal pills. Immediately after, Lin Yi strolled around the surroundings again. This area was filled with pills related to the soul and divine consciousness. However, most of them were pills to develop the soul and divine consciousness. They were not suitable for Biluo. Either that the effect was not enough and could not take effect on Biluo. After searching for a long time, a type of pill was reflected in Lin Ye's eyes. Yin Yang Mysterious Ascension Pill, Upper Grade Saint Pill. Uses the power of Yin and Yang to consolidate and raise the user's soul strength. Points required, 5 million. This is the Yin Yang Mysterious Ascension Pill. Biluo's voice became excited. This pill must be obtained. Not only can it raise your divine consciousness, it can also let me recover more strength. Hiss. 5 million points, this is not easy. Rubbing his nose, Lin Yi could not help but smile bitterly. Now, the power of thunder in the heavenly thunder realm had not been completely restored. He could no longer refine the thunder origin pill to earn points. If he wanted to earn points from other places, the speed would be much slower. 5 million points, to him, was not a small number. Fortunately, I did not reject Elder Bai's suggestion. In a few days, I will use that authority to exchange for it. After making up his mind, Lin Yi turned and left. He had given all the points he earned to Silent Soul, Shangguan Yunxi, and the others to maintain the operation of the Sky Rapier sect. After exchanging for the 2 pills, he only had a few 100,000 points left. He was completely a pauper. If he saw any good things, he could only look at them. Earn more points in the next few days. Bill Yuo said in a low voice. The sooner you exchange for the yin-yang mysterious ascension pill, the sooner I can protect myself. At the same time, raise your divine consciousness. Points are not easy to earn. Lin Yi sighed. Just as he turned around, a person bumped into him. Lin Yi hurriedly retreated and looked up. He saw that the person was Peng Tianyu, who had competed with him for spiritual energy in the spirit gathering array last time. It's you. Peng Tianyu blinked his eyes and suddenly said with a smile, You're in the limelight these days. However, why do you not look very happy? In the limelight? Lin Yi raised his eyebrows. That's right. Peng Tianyu laughed. You and another woman caused a riot in the heart refining abyss, and then you consecutively defeated the experts in the top 50 of the Saint Transforming list. These few days, all I've heard are rumors about you. For a freshman to be able to do this, I really admire you. Phew, what's the use of these? Lin Yi curled his lips and said, You might as well give me a few more points. So you're doing this for points. Peng Tianyu said in a low voice, Although you're not a saint yet, with your strength, if you go to the heavenly thunder realm, you should be able to refine the thunder origin pill. The speed of getting points is not slow. However, I don't know why, but from today onwards, the power of thunder in the heavenly thunder realm will weaken. After a few days, you can go and try. Cough, cough. Lin Yi said awkwardly, The heavenly thunder realm has been weakened by me. Where should I go to get points these few days? Chapter 5:27. After all this time, it turns out that the weakening of the heavenly thunder realm's lightning is also because of you. The corner of Peng Tianyu's mouth twitched as he sighed helplessly. Apart from the heavenly thunder realm, the fastest place to obtain points is the blood refinement field. However, you're in the limelight these few days. I'm afraid no one dares to bet with you. The powerhouses in the top 50 of the Saint Transformation ranking usually won't appear in the blood refinement field. It's very difficult for you to find someone on the ranking to challenge. That's why it's really too difficult to obtain points. Lin Yi shrugged his shoulders and suddenly asked, Oh, right, Brother Peng, do you know how many points the 45th person on the Saint Transformation ranking can obtain every month? The top 50 can obtain 500,000 points every month. Peng Tianyu smiled and said, The top 30 is 700,000, the top 20 is 900,000, and the top 10 is 5 million. As for the top 3, I don't know. We've never seen the top 3 of the Saint Transformation ranking. At this point, Peng Tianyu's expression became slightly solemn. Rubbing his nose, Lin Yi suddenly looked at Peng Tianyu. Brother Peng knows so much. Your ranking shouldn't be low, right? Yeah, it's just the 30th place. Peng Tianyu smiled faintly. Hiss! Lin Yi was slightly surprised. With your strength as a peak saint, you're actually not in the top 20? Ha ha ha! Peng Tianyu smiled and said, So what if I'm a peak saint? It's not the inner court assessment yet. All the rankings are fake. With my current strength, I'm afraid I can't even rank in the top 50 in the entire outer court. So that's how it is. Lin Yi's heart trembled. Recalling Flawless White's words, he immediately understood. The outer court was filled with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. It was definitely not as simple as he thought. Looks like I have to tell Shangwan and the rest to be more careful in the future. If they provoke those dark horses, it won't be easy to handle. Suddenly, Peng Tianyu asked, "You're in such a hurry to obtain points?" "Yes." Lin Yi bitterly smiled. "You should know about the matter of the Heavenly Sword sect. Since I've created this force, I can't just ignore it. I need to spend too many points." "Ha ha ha." Peng Tianyu laughed. "Of course I know about the Heavenly Sword sect. It's said that they're doing a good job there, and they have a lot of benefits. Some old people even want to join. However, I heard that you're a hands-off boss. Other than when we're fighting, you're not around at all. I've sacrificed a lot for the Heavenly Sword sect." Lin Yi shrugged helplessly. "Since you're so desperate for points, I have a mission that I'm looking for. I'm not sure if you're interested." Peng Tianyu's expression was grave. "What mission?" Raising an eyebrow, Lin Yi hurriedly looked at Peng Tianyu. "This is a mission issued by the Elixir Pavilion Elder. If you don't accept it, I can't tell you the specific requirements." Peng Tianyu said in a deep voice, "This mission requires you to leave Cebu Gakuen for a while. If you can accept it, I'll take you to see the Elder." "Leave for a few days?" Lin Yi raised an eyebrow. "At least 3 to 5 days, at most 10 days. Peng Tianyu said, "We'll set off tomorrow. We're still short of 2 people. If you can accept it, I'll take you to see the Elder. The mission gives a lot of points as a reward. Then what are we waiting for? Take me to see the Elder." "Ha ha." Amidst the laughter, Lin Yi and Peng Tianyu left the sacred depository together and rushed to the Elixir Pavilion. It had to be said that the world was unpredictable. The last time they met, they were fighting to the death. This time, they were like brothers. The Elixir Pavilion did not occupy a large area. However, as soon as they got close, they could smell the rich fragrance of elixirs. As they approached the Elixir Pavilion, Lin Yi casually glanced around and saw several students refining elixirs. As for the interior of the Elixir Pavilion, it was filled with the rich fragrance of elixirs and the fluctuation of flames. Peng Tianyu was obviously a frequent customer of the Elixir Pavilion. He brought Lin Yi directly to the 3rd floor. The 3rd floor was a hall. Many people were leaning against the counter, and several elders were receiving them. "What's this for?" Lin Yi raised an eyebrow. "Selling elixirs?" "Yes." Peng Tianyu smiled and said, "This is the place where people buy and sell elixirs and accept missions. The missions hanging on the wall include collecting herbs, protecting alchemists, and others. This Elixir Pavilion is quite fun." The corners of Lin Yi's mouth curled up slightly. He was quite interested. "Okay, follow me." Peng Tianyu brought Lin Yi deep into the 3rd floor and turned into a passage. He said, "The mission I accepted this time was directly from the elders. Perhaps the elders will test your strength. When the time comes, you don't have to be nervous. Just use your full strength." "Okay." Seeing that this mission was so unique, Lin Yi was excited. It seemed that he could earn another round of points. After a while, Peng Tianyu brought Lin Yi to a secret room. Peng Tianyu went up and knocked on the door, then waited quietly. Lin Yi did not dare to make a sound. He just looked at the stone room. "Come in." After a while, a weak voice sounded. Peng Tianyu pushed open the stone door and led Lin Yi in. As soon as they entered the stone room, they were greeted by a special elixir fragrance. It was not rich, but left a deep impression on them. An alchemy cauldron was flickering with fire. It contained a strong power. Behind the alchemy cauldron sat an old man. His face was withered and his body was weak. He was all skin and bones. He looked quite scary. "Elder Lu." Peng Tianyu bowed slightly and pulled Lin Yi, who was still in a daze. This is..." Lu Ruoxu looked up and glanced at Lin Yi. He said in a deep voice, "Although your cultivation level is low, the power in your body is so violent. You're a good kid. A new student this year?" "Yes, I'm Lin Yi." "Greetings, Elder Lu." Lin Yi cupped his fists slightly. He was surprised. This elder looked thin and weak, but his strength was shocking. He could see through Lin Yi's cultivation level and determined that Lin Yi was a new student. That was shocking. Lu Ruoxu looked at Lin Yi carefully. Suddenly, his expression changed slightly, and he murmured, "Interesting." "Elder Lu," Peng Tianyu said hurriedly, "we still need 2 more people for the previous mission, right? I wonder if Lin Yi can do it? His strength is not weaker than mine." "All right," Lu Ruoxu said in a deep voice, "including him, we have enough people. Wait for me outside the Elixir Pavilion tomorrow morning. You can tell him the details of the mission. I won't say anything else." "All right, you can leave now," Lu Ruoxu said impatiently. He waved his hand and chased them away. Lin Yi and Peng Tianyu were both dumbfounded. They hurriedly left the stone room, but before they could leave, they heard a pong sound, and the stone room's door was fiercely slammed shut. Hiss, sucking in a breath of cold air, Lin Yi and Peng Tianyu looked at each other, their faces full of shock. He agreed just like that. The corner of Peng Tianyu's mouth twitched. He suddenly felt like crying. In order to accept this mission, he had put in a lot of effort and passed many tests. However, Lin Yi walked in directly. "You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.